Welcome to the Positively Star Wars Senate podcast. This is Obi-Wan Kenobi. May the Force be with you.
Looky, Senator. There's a Jedi arriving.
Let's make this our best show ever!
I will sign no treaty, Senator.
I am the Senate.
This is the way.
Hello, Star Wars fans, and welcome to the emergency episode of the Positively Star Wars Senate podcast. The 29th of May 2022, when we are recording this on Skype. We brought it forward a couple of weeks from where we would normally be in June for no particular reason other than there's a few things going on at the moment. So, my name is Stephen, the Chancellor on this Senate, and I'm also the only Brit on here, and this is where we all get together to talk about Star Wars for the next 2 hours. We're keeping it positive, we're keeping it fun, we're keeping it light, and we're keeping it away from all that hate, and hate needs to fear, and fear needs to all that kind of stuff. So we know where that goes. So we keep it all nice and fluffy in here, like a good old Wookiee. So, this month's show is brought to you by Winnow.
I'm Willow Upgood.
Yes. If you're wondering all about the latest Star Wars news and reveals, you can always count on Winnow to take up a critical amount of time telling you about the trainer, at least 3 times, I reckon, and hearing from all the actors, when all you really want to hear about is Star Wars. Let's play the Winnow trainer here a few times now, and we'll then get into Obi-Wan.
There is a story of a child.
Okay, but first of all, as ever, as you know, before we get into things proper, we have to have a quick word from our sponsors.
There is a story of a child.
Willow again.
Yes, play the Winnow trainer there again, I think, because you can never have enough Winnow. Okay, so, folks, this month I am joined by 5 other senators, and I'll go around the table in Skype order, and we will see who we've got. So we've got Ryan.
Hello there.
Josh.
Hello, Star Wars fans.
Ron.
Greetings and salutations, fellow senators and Chancellor.
Ricky.
Hello.
And Marie.
Hello.
Thank you all for joining us, and thank you to our debutant, Josh, this month.
Did we get Ricky in there? I think he's muted.
No, Ricky spoke. He said
he did.
He spoke like Jar Jar.
Needs to
There.
speak.
The ability to speak does not make
I
you
missed it.
intelligent.
So we are here
No.
primarily to talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi, which 2 episodes dropped in what feels like a long time ago now, but it was only 2 days. So we're going to have a good long discussion on those 2 episodes, and then Friday, whatever time is left, we're going to go through some of the news from Celebration, which you may or may not know has been going on in between all the Winnow recaps and stuff. So, yes, on May the 27th, we had 2 episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi drop. I thought they were going to say how long each one lasted. The first one was about 55 minutes, and I think the next one was 44 minutes or something like that, I think.
Yeah.
That was the first thing I looked for, because after we've had Mando and Boba, where minutes vary so wildly between episodes, I was quick to know how many minutes we were going to get per episode here. So, to recap what happened in each episode, I'm just going to read exactly what it says pretty much off Wiki. Wiki is not one of our sponsors, but they can be if they want to, just you know where to find us. So, in part 1, 10 years after Order 66, when most of the Jedi Order were killed, the Grand Inquisitor, 5th brother, and 3rd sister find a surviving Jedi called Nari on Tatooine. Reva grows impatient and attempts to kill Nari, forcing the Grand Inquisitor to force stop her, which allows Nari to escape. Reva believes that they should be hunting for another surviving Jedi, somebody you might have heard of, Obi-Wan Kenobi, who, unbeknownst to them, is also on Tatooine. Under the alias Ben, Kenobi watches over the young Luke, the son of former apprentice turned enemy Anakin Skywalker. I can't read some of this stuff, it's like George wrote it. He is haunted by memories of Anakin's fall and is unable to communicate with his former master Qui-Gon Jinn through the Force. Kenobi refuses to help Nari and later sees his corpse hanging in town. It's grim. On Alderaan, Anakin's daughter Leia, who was adopted by Kenobi's acquaintance, Senator Bail Organa, is kidnapped by bounty hunters who have been hired by Reva to draw Kenobi out. Organa contacts Kenobi and pleads with him to help rescue Leia. Kenobi refuses at first, but changes his mind after being visited by Organa in person. That's roughly part 1. And then in part 2, after tracking the kidnappers to the planet Daru, help me out, Daru,
That was Dayu.
Dayu, yeah.
Willow.
Dayu. Kenobi encounters a con man who is posing as a Jedi. He directs Kenobi to Leia's location, where he defeats the kidnappers and rescues her. The Grand Inquisitor learns of their presence and locks down their city. Reva disobeys orders to stand down and places a new bounty on Kenobi, causing mercenaries to surround the city to target him and Leia. When Leia realizes that they are after Kenobi instead of her, she loses trust in Kenobi and runs away. With bounty hunters firing at them, Leia jumps off the roof and Kenobi saves her using the Force, gaining her trust. Yes! The then Jedi con man finds them and directs them to an unguarded cargo port from which they can escape, but he is unable to stop Reva from following them. Reva shocks Kenobi by revealing to him that Anakin now goes by the name of Darth Vader and is still alive after Kenobi thought he had died 10 years earlier. The Grand Inquisitor attempts to arrest Kenobi himself, and Reva seemingly kills him. I like the way they put that. Allowing Kenobi and Leia to escape on a transport ship. Elsewhere, Darth Vader awakens in a Bacta tank. Blimey, they seem to have really, that is the summary for the first 2 episodes. They really seem to have made it seem like nothing much happened in what was an hour and a half. But
they skipped the whole beginning.
Well, they skipped it. Yeah, they did skip that bit. Yeah, I suppose they got to summarise it. It's not a in-depth thing. It's just a synopsis. So it's not everything that happened. So what we'll do is we'll go quickly around the table and get maybe a sentence of thoughts from each of you, and then we'll go around again and get your bit more what you're thinking what you liked will be what you thought about the first 2 episodes. So Ryan.
All right, so just for the quick sentence, even though I kept my expectations low and I looked nothing into it or what it was going to be about, I gotta say I was still surprised what it was actually about. So the way it took and the route it took was pretty surprising to me. And when we go back around the table, that's the topic that I'm going to touch on. What my belief was how the whole story kind of swerved everything. So that's my quick thought on it. Great so far.
Josh.
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very entertaining and a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to this journey that they're going to take us on. I'm very excited to see where the story goes and what, Obi-Wan's been up to all this time.
Ron.
That format, that streaming media format that is now a part of this day and age is so wonderful that we will get a long format story of Obi-Wan versus a 2-hour movie. It was gorgeous, and what we saw, it looked very cinematic, but they get to flesh out and tell us a nice long story. I'm really looking forward to that. I was really pleased to see the recap. There's like a 10-minute recap at the beginning of episode 1 that really helped. Sometimes I think we lose sight of the fact that this is a show that's on a streaming service for the lay fan. It's for us, the Uber fans that are talking about it on a podcast, but it's made for the lay fan. So that recap was for my wife, for my in-laws to that know the story a little bit or whatever, to truly get them engrossed in this character and this journey we're about to go on. I thought that was very well done. I was happy to see that sort of be a part of the show so that there's not too much to explain. Now, with that said, there's some parts of the show being made for people like that. There's some exposition and some parts to it that get a little bit of under our Uber fans' skin. But yeah, for the most part, I was so glad I stayed away from the sort of spoilerish speculation. The Leia reveal as to what would get Obi-Wan off planet, sure, seems, seems completely obvious, but yet it wasn't going into it. And again, I didn't really dive into spoilers or dive into speculation or whatever. I just wanted to let Star Wars unfold for me. That's the best way to take it, I believe. And was genuinely thrilled at that and found that to be, I just loved that was the piece that got him off world. So yeah, very, very engaged and very, very much looking forward to seeing where this story takes us.
Okay, yeah, the recap thing. Interesting enough, I noticed on D Plus they've got the recap as an extras, so you can just watch the recap.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah,
Because
I did see that. Yeah.
you just press play on episode 1 again and see it. So
Well, if you don't know that, it could get you in. Somebody stumbling around, see that recap. Oh yeah, what was that?
Yeah,
Yeah, let me see what that was about. and
it's
catch
about
that.
6 minutes. About 6 minutes and a half.
Yeah, it was well done. It was very, I thought anyway. I was very surprised to see it, and surprised and happy to see it because it was very thorough, very complete. I thought.
Yep, absolutely. Okay.
I thought I missed an episode. I was like, recap. Oh no.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
I did worry when F2
missed
happened.
3.
I did worry that they were going to be doing that every time, and it was just like, oh, well, that was good. It was kind of long. I don't know if I need to see it every time. I might, for the first time ever, hit that skip intro button that pops up on D Plus or whatever. I never do that, but thankfully in F2 they got back to the normal format of sort of recapping what happened in the previous episode.
We'll get back to that.
Yeah,
We'll get back to recap because I have one or two things I can say about that one. Ricky, quick thoughts. Just a reminder there.
Yeah, no, kind of going off what Ron was saying, like I feel like I watched like the first part of a trilogy. It was a 2-hour thing. It's like a little mini movie. So, like, yeah, this whole thing. I watched episode 3 like right before. Like I pretty much finished episode 3 and then turned on the first episode. So, and then the recap happened and kind of messed that up. But no, it was great. I was like it gave me all the feels. Like watching all the stuff from the 3 previous films. And it perfectly leads up to it. And like I kind of guessed the Leia thing, but still, like I didn't really know where they were gonna go with everything. And I was just perfectly pleased with both episodes, and I just thought it was amazing. And like yeah, rewatching it again was even still good. So yeah, I'm still like in awe of what they were able to do with you and everybody. And it's basically a movie to me. So it's going to be part of required viewing when I redo my my rewatches of the films. So, but yeah.
It is interesting that they're calling these part 1, part 2, part 3.
Yeah.
They're going for that format on this one. So I found it interesting as well. Okay, I won't say anything more. Marie.
Well, I did say before that I waited my entire life for this, and I was not disappointed. Keep it short and sweet.
No, thank you. Somebody spread the memo. Very good. Yeah, I have to say, yeah. For me personally, I thought that the first episode was near perfect. I can't think anything that was too bad with that one. The second one was still very good, but it was just a little bit more. There was a lot more going on. I really liked the slowness of the first episode and showing what life is like for poor little Obi.
The first one was more exposition. The second one
was
all action.
I really loved the way they set the scene and set it up for what he's like and what he's feeling at this time, which is I like things and they drag out the really bad stuff, I suppose. So that's why I like episode part 1 a bit more than part 2. Okay, so let's get some more juicy bits that people want to say about the first 2 episodes. We'll go back round again, and we're back with Ryan.
So Ron touched on it, but that's definitely what surprised me the most is that Disney and Lucasfilm, they released all this information about who the actor Luke was, the young Luke was. They released all that. They showed all the images and trailers with him. And when we got to watching the shows, that's all we got to see. And then I had zero clue Leia was going to be in it. So once it showed the back where they're like doing her braid, well, I guess it ended up being a decoy, but her braids running through the woods and stuff. So I was totally shocked. And I realized, I always asked, I was like, why are they pulling Kenobi off the planet? It makes no sense. Again, I try to keep expectations low. If anything, I even argue against things that are positive to keep my expectations low. So when I see them, I'm very happy. So it's like, there's no point to pull Kenobi away from Luke. Like, why would you put him in danger?
Yeah.
There's even your own life. You would just stay hidden. But then to put your life in danger and leave to help save Leia when Luke is relatively safe, I'm like, okay, that makes 100. So I didn't see her coming at all. Her character was perfect. Like, perfect. She's just smart, brave, just really full of herself in a good way where she knows almost what's best and all this. She's a handful, and she's like that whether she's standing in front of Tarkin, whether she's standing in front of Vader, or whether she's standing in front of her dad and mom. She is just a handful.
I think they did really, really well to capture that that's
Yeah.
Leia. You know, that's that character in such a wonderful, precocious way for the kid to be doing what they did. When she was first appeared on screen, I didn't know that. I thought it was going to be as much. You talked about how, you know, it would ended up being the decoy. I thought they were going to show us Alderaan, maybe show us a little bit of Leia, just to address that elephant in the room.
Yeah.
That is, she's a part of this timeline too. I was surprised at how much she was a part of the story, that it wasn't just, you know, as it grew and more and became the focal point of, and the thing that was going to get him off planet. It was like, wow, that's, you know, we get so much more of Alderaan, the Organas, all of that sort of stuff. It does make A New Hope, just painful when Bale's talking to her about, oh, this planet's going to look up to you and you're going to lead this and you're, it's just crushing. But it's crushing from a fan. Sorry, it's crushing from a fan point of view. But it also will then speak volumes to Leia's, you know, that character's presence to still not give up the information as the Death Star, proven Death Star, is there, you know, hovering over her planet. No, we're a peaceful world, not, you know, and still has the steely resolve to not give up the rebel. Oh, it's just going to make A New Hope even that much more powerful.
When they started showing her like getting ready and stuff with the handmaidens, me and my wife and my daughter, we were just like, it's Leia, it's Leia. Like we were just all giddy and happy.
Well, how about when they reveal the hand? What did you think when you saw the hand? What was your reaction when you saw the hand? I was like, oh, is she sick?
Like,
is she poisoned? What?
Like she's wearing a glove?
Oh, it's a decoy. Okay, well that makes that's so much better.
I feel like they had her running through the woods, and it was really reminiscent of her training Rey and Rey the Skywalker, because, you know, she just likes running in the woods.
Yeah, true.
Any other little thoughts, Ryan?
Well, I'll just stick to my main conversation point, just about Leia. I mean, there's lots I want to talk about, but obviously I don't want to take it all. But yeah, I think the Leia surprise in this has a chance of not being a Luke story. Like we had the original trilogy is really the Luke story, and Leia's just kind of a fill-in until the very end when it's like, oh, you're the sister. And that's about it. She's relegated to run through the woods in Return of the Jedi. And now this is, you know, well, she's running in the woods again. But now this character is brave, and she was willing to fight off her captors to get away. And she does, whether it's her cousin that she's standing up to or anything, she is a brave, smart, amazing little girl. And just to see Alderaan, I've been saying it forever. I'm like, Alderaan sounds so important, but we really never see Alderaan. So to finally see just the beauty of the buildings, the forest, the waterfalls, it's like, this is a Leia, you know, this may be a Leia story. You know, I don't know where they'll go now. Leia may be returned, and that's that. So I'm very interested in what's coming next, but I can't imagine Leia getting away again. And then the next 4 episodes is about chasing Leia. So I'm just very interested in coming, and I'm glad that they focused on Leia for once. And it was a total swerve. All the media was about the boy, and Disney just had to be laughing in their buildings. Like they don't see it coming, man. It's like, yes. So I'm very.
I agree, Ryan, that I think this episode or the show, while we thought it was going to be about Obi-Wan and Luke, that we'd see a lot of Luke stuff or see Luke. They very well could throw that curveball for the whole thing, that it's not that story. We know where Luke ends up, so there's not much to tell there, or any additional to tell.
You kind of can't have like that much Luke.
You know, you get some origin story of the Skyhopper and the like, but it spins itself like anything. That, you know, we talked about that spinning of the story, that it becomes a little bit more Leia focused. It will, however, sort of hurt or retcon or have some tough sledding ahead with regards to that boy was our only hope. No, there is another. You know, why would he not know that? If capturing her brings out Obi-Wan, if Reva can find that out from just the archives, how does Vader not put together who she is? Obviously, there's a lot more of this story to be told, so they're going to fix all that or solve all of that for us. But right now, it really stands to question a good bit of some of what we know. So hopefully, they do address that in a very, very good way. I'm sure they will. I have no questions that they won't. It's just I want it now. It's like, hurry up, let's go.
I'm very confident they've thought of that. Very confident. Okay, Josh, thoughts of some of the thought from the opening 2 episodes?
Yeah, so just piggybacking off what Ryan was talking about with Leia, I really enjoyed getting to see her with Obi-Wan and just her sass, for lack of a better word. She's just got such a little attitude that I really enjoyed seeing. Like the line where he's like, "Oh, we're gonna pretend I'm your father," and she's like, "My grandfather, maybe." Like I was dying.
Yes.
Like, I literally laughed out loud
Okay.
because I thought that was amazing. You know, that whole little back and forth between them. But I'm really going to enjoy getting to see Leia because, just like you guys had already said, you know, we know so much about Luke that I would be fine with them turning this into, you know, more a story about her. That would be very entertaining to me. And then my second thought was I had put in chat too that Eopies eat meat. Like that never occurred to me when I saw that scene of him feeding, you know, the meat to the Eopie. I was like, wait a minute. I just always took these to be, you know, some sort of a, you know, vegetarian based creature, but I guess on Tatooine there isn't much vegetation. So I guess if you think about it, it kind of makes sense. So
It's
Yeah, that's
seafood.
Unless they eat sand, unless they eat sand, they really are.
right.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was it. I mean, I'm just very excited to see again where the story goes, and I enjoy getting to see little sassy Leia. I hope she sticks around.
Yeah. Okay. Rom.
Oh, I've been hijacking everybody else's comments.
Ricky.
Yeah, exactly. Obi-Wan's something to take away from it for the discussion piece or whatever is Obi-Wan's a little off with dealing with Leia as a child because I don't know that he's ever really had opportunity. You know, that uncle that doesn't have kids is a bit awkward around him, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And there was a little bit of that, and that was good to see because why would he be good with a precocious little girl? Just, you know, he's just expecting her to follow him, and she's like, well, I don't know anything about you. Why would, you know? And he doesn't have a good way of interacting with her. I did laugh out loud to the "How old are you?" line from Obi-Wan, and she's 10. You know, he would know how old she is. I think when he's not thinking about it at the time, but just some great dialogue, some great interaction between.
Well, then
those
she's
two.
like not his apprentice, so like he's only used to that dynamic he had with Anakin, where he could tell him what to do, and this is someone that doesn't have to listen to him. So
you know, that's a good point. That right, that's all he's ever known probably is a Padawan type of thing that you know follows the order and just blindly. Well, I don't know that Anakin blindly followed it, but yeah, just listen to him. And he knows as an adult, he knows the situation they're in, but you know, and she doesn't, so she's naive little kid or whatever. There was just a wonderful bit of dialogue in there that they gave for her. That's like, look, you being silent speaks more than you telling me what's going on, kind of thing. And it was such a Leia type of line, such a presence type of line for that character. I think that might have been what sparked the "How old are you?" line comment of their dialogue.
Touching on that real quick before you move on to other things. Do other people think that's kind of like her Force thing? Because obviously her being strong in the Force is given, but she's not strong in Force pushing in combat,
Right.
and you know. But it's like meditation and getting like really knowing people. Like
That's genius.
well, I mean, that would have
Yeah.
made her a better senator and stuff like that too.
exactly. So
It
that's
would
like
speak
how
to
she,
it.
that's how she's strong.
And speaks to like the Anakin, you know, he sees things before they happen, pod racing piece, whatever, as they're talking to animals, whatever. That would really, really bode well to write her Force sensibilities. Is what her how it's showing, if you will, so to speak. I thought that was interesting too. Obviously, none of us have talked about it, but the Owen Ben dialogue and the, you know, that tense moment that they gave away in the trailer, whatever, and even with the Inquisitors threatening Ben and Obi-Wan saying thank you, and he's like, I didn't do it for you. It's like, oh, that is just,
then,
you know.
And then
Obi-Wan.
Owen tells him, which is something very telling, like about the original movie. He's like, you just want to know if he's showing. You know?
Yeah, that was a good line.
Oh, just Obi-Wan's been through so much as a character, and then to have him, and he still maintains and keeps his composure. Such an amazing character.
You kind of have to, because he's like the beaten down dude. I mean, he's downtrodden and stuff. So it's like he's at the bottom of the barrel. It's like you're just going to be around here and you're not going to be involved. And that's what I wanted to see, is really beaten up, defeated Obi-Wan. And it's like, and I hope it sticks with it. Honestly, I mean, it's great.
Oh yeah, the 5 o'clock world aspect of seeing Obi-Wan. Well, I guess they're doing up a crate dragon, whatever it is they're doing, whatever. But you know, we see the 5 o'clock world whistle blow 3-4 times or whatever. And okay, something different. So yeah,
a giant manta ray or something. Yeah.
See that part of him, and to meet the other Jedi, I do have a bit of a problem how that guy found him. But anyway, he's just telling him, look, you've got to go bury that thing. You just got to leave it alone and live a normal life. Now, his is a bit different. He's just trying to keep that guy alive, where Obi-Wan's trying to lead a normal life in order to watch over and protect Luke. But yeah, the downtrodden aspect, even the dreams. There was a dream sequence. I was surprised to see that. I think a little bit of him, still wrestling with all that's transpired. Maybe recent events triggered that, perhaps, I guess, having the Inquisitors in town. But wow, yeah, it's good stuff.
Okay, Ricky?
Yeah, everything was just great about it. But yeah, going back to the having Leia in there, you kind of really can't have it about Luke, because that story, there needs to be limited, because he didn't know who Kenobi was in the original movie. He just knew what his uncle told him. So you can't have a whole.
They told Ben though.
Yeah, he said that was just a crazy old hermit, but he didn't even really know. And I like that this kind of fixes why Leia calls him Ben Kenobi. Why she knows who Ben Kenobi is, when Luke goes in, I'm here with Ben Kenobi.
Ben Kenobi?
Yeah. So I kind of like that.
That's a good point. There probably is going to be at least one interaction between, it has to be right, that one interaction between Luke and Ben, to where the child Luke does know of. I wonder if he meant old Ben Kenobi. That there has to be some interaction, but not to the level of familiarity, because Luke doesn't, knows who he is.
They're not going to have Sunday barbecues at the homestead every weekend.
Yeah. But I just love the origin story. I hope he gets it back sometime with a Skyhopper. That was a nice.
Yeah, that was a nice little nod. He got the toy that he's playing with on the.
I loved his interaction with the Jawas. They're having so much fun with him. He's like, dude, if you're gonna steal my parts and try to sell them back to me, at least clean them up.
The cleaning is extra.
Yeah. Jawa, with the cleaning is extra.
Just beat it up. Like stealing my parts.
Yeah, and it was curious that he didn't have his hobble yet. Like, he was just in some kind of little cave tunnel thing. He didn't have his actual home that you see on A New Hope.
So is that an R2 unit buried in the sand that pops up of the sensor thing that goes green or red, or is that just a sensor droid that's buried in the sand?
I don't know.
I want one of those for the house.
Sensor parts, yeah.
I thought that was clever too.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't tell if it actually was because it did look like R2's thing when it.
It really it feels like that part of an astromech. So it could be.
I thought it was R4.
Didn't R4 get blown to bits in episode 3?
I think he's blowed up.
I think so, though. Yeah. So.
Well, I mean, he could have got something from that job.
He's a bar guy in Mandalorian now. He's in Mandalorian.
Oh yeah,
that's true. He wasn't. R4
or R5.
R5.
You're thinking R5.
Oh my! I always mix those two up. Okay, you're thinking
the bad motivator. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Which one is that? That's R5D4, isn't it?
R5D4 is the bad motivator. He has this. He has a different dome. Not such a
red astromech droid like R2. Yeah. It's R4 though, right? Okay, I always mix those up. Okay,
yeah.
I did like the cousin interaction with Leia and the droids.
Oh yeah.
You're polite to your droids, lower life forms or whatever. It's just like, and Leia ever the dip. Oh, she's such.
I don't have to have Leia to speak to you.
Yeah, such fun they're having with that character at 10.
And it's good to know that she knows that she's adopted. She knows that they're not her real, family.
Yeah, that's interesting too. I hope to see more about that. Like,
you guys notice though when Inquisitor was asking, when Reva was asking Owen about his family, he's like, he didn't say the last name at all.
Yeah, just Lars. He just said Owen.
He just said Owen. Yeah, he just said Owen. Mm-hmm. So you don't know if it's Skywalker still, Ron, or Lars.
Well, he would be Lars. He would be Lars.
Yeah,
I've always contend that Luke would be Luke Lars.
And I don't think they're going to even touch on that for the rest of the show.
Yeah, touche. There's no need to, there doesn't seem like there'd be a need to at all. But yeah, just that dynamic, that scene and well, even the scene where she's about to take out she throws the knife and takes out the Jedi and the Grand Inquisitor, Force stops or whatever. That was some good storytelling, just fun. It's just so going entertaining. Heck yeah.
Yeah, that was evil. Like, that's how you draw Jedi out, is trying to kill people. And I was, what a great character.
Yeah, great character. The character design, the character acting could use a once over twice, because she's just such a cosplayer looking thing, where the other ones, all have legit things going on, and she's just an evil human. It just that one was a little that one.
I heard that online, and I don't get it. I don't get that
Yeah, I don't get
critique
that
point.
either. She's an
I've
inquisitor.
watched
I
it
don't know.
twice, and she's just, she wants glory, or she has a personal vendetta against Obi-Wan. So it's one of the two. But it's like she's very passionate. She's full of fire. I love her yelling. She's willing to kill people. She's too wild for the Inquisitors type of thing. That's very interesting, and I liked it. I thought that was really good.
Yeah, I definitely want to save
there is that
reserve
that
judgment
opening,
until the end.
That opening
sorry.
scene with the Padawans. I do think that she is the main one that they show.
Right.
With
There's a potential for her to be that.
And so
why
there's
she
the
would
blame
turn
where
it.
she blames the Jedi for not helping, so now she hates.
I think that's a possibility, but then they also refer to her as coming from the gutter. So we can easily assume that they're talking about the Jedi are the gutter, or she's just, a gutter rat like Han Solo or whatever.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't put too much hope in that she's.
It is
one of those
interesting that
Jedi.
they call her Reva. They don't call her by her sister name
Third sister,
very
yeah.
often. Yeah, they keep.
Well,
on
they say
once
both.
or twice. They say both, but yeah.
But she was ultimately right. That's the thing that's going to be tough for them to then deal with. Well, why doesn't Vader use that later or anybody else use it? But yeah, she was ultimately right in fleshing him out. And as terrible as it would, this man and his family dies unless you give us information kind of thing or whatever, would be, brutally, just brutal, but it would potentially effectively, you would think it might work.
I liked all the new characters. I liked the inclusion of Flea because I do love the chili pepper.
Oh, that was wonderful, wasn't it? not that anyone, not that it was any great cameo, and not that many of the fan base or
would have known.
How many people are
people would know.
Aren't going to know that that's some important dude, but it's or not important, but just not a total name off the street, what actor type of thing, whatever. But a fun inclusion. I'd love to hear that story of how that comes to be. Is he friends with Deborah Chow somehow, or huge Star Wars fan and asked him?
I had absolutely no idea who he was. No idea.
Yeah, well, yeah, right. Why would you? There's no reason to. But
he was wearing more than a sock. So
he fit. Yeah, he fit the part. Good casting, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has that weird look and kind of like dirty acting style. I think he just wanted to be in Star Wars type of thing. So.
Yeah.
And found a role because he right. I think the Grand Inquisitor slices him up, right? So yeah, it was quick and dirty. Perfect role for something like
he
that.
He gets helicoptered.
Oh.
Yeah, and
it's the only point we got to see the helicopter.
Yeah, isn't he? He plays Needles from Back to the Future, doesn't he?
He does.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, and so it's in Needles. It's name dropped in Solo. I know he's not Needles, but I think he just was like, "Listen, I played the guy you're referencing. Let me be in Star Wars." And it's like, "Yeah, sure, we love you," type of thing. So I thought that was very funny too. The guy who played Needles, the actor is now in Star Wars playing a totally different character.
Yeah.
Wait, what's the reference? I missed the tie-in, the 6 degrees of separation to Star Wars and Needles.
In the beginning of Solo, when he's talking about when he's going with Kira through that little alley,
right?
He references like, oh, it's just like Needles when he went through. He references that
when they're escaping the mall. He's like,
oh yeah, it was the mall part.
Yeah, my old friend Needles did this right before he crashed and died, and then he spun side and knocked out the TIE fighter. Well,
right.
The guy who, Ron Howard or whatever was involved or somehow really liked or was involved in Back to the Future. So he just took Needles directly from Back to the Future as a reference to that character. Even though it means nothing, it's totally a director just wanted to throw a name.
Yeah.
Just you need a name. Let's have some fun with the name or whatever.
Yeah.
But then, do you think Han Solo's Needles is then? No, he's not referring to the character that he then ends up playing.
Yeah,
as
the character
has guy.
The character has a
name.
He
happened to play Needles in Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's the 6 degrees of separation. Okay, cool. Yeah. Did not aware of that. Now, refresh your memory. Who's Needles in Back to the Future?
I think he's just one of those punk sidekicks.
Just sidekick. Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly. It's been a little while.
No, that's a fun.
Doesn't he say the same thing?
Isn't
it just the guy that just crashes that they keep referencing, right?
No, he supposed to be like Marty McFly's friend or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to rewatch those.
We'd have to watch Back to the Future for
yeah, that's the kind of thing that is the the Wookiees doing a Tarzan yell. It's a fun throwback. People go, "Oh, I don't like that in there." It's like, "Oh, come on, that's Hollywood being Hollywood and having a little fun." You just know it's a thing, so it becomes a thing to go, "Ew," complain about. Whereas, no, that's cool. A lot of people have no idea that was a tie into something. They just hear that sound and think it's cool. Nobody's seen Tarzan. I barely know Tarzan's yell, and I'm the older original trilogy generation, so when I see that, I just cringe that, oh, you're just complaining just because it's a thing and it can be a thing. I don't know that truly should be a reason to go, ew, I hate that soundbite. Just
right
it's
after,
a fun
after I finish watching Willow again, I'm gonna have to watch Back to the Future so I can.
Needles was the guy who convinced Marty to race, and then Marty injured his back, and now he just kind of works for Needles. Like Needles is always the guy who's racing cars and crashing. So
that's an awesome tip into Solo then. Beautiful. I've never heard that, so thanks.
Yeah.
All right, who's next, Steven?
I didn't get to talk.
Yeah, Maria didn't get to.
Go on, Marie. Go for it.
So yeah, I enjoyed it quite a lot. It took me a minute to have Leia grow on me, to be honest, because I'm not fond of like the spunky child thing, but now that I've seen it a couple times and kind of let it sink in, it really tracks with who she is. I mean, she's always been kind of a smart ass little sassy girl, kind of in front of Tarkin, just completely just keeping her composure and keeping her cool and telling him like it, telling it like it is. And so now all of that tracks. So I'm very happy with that character. I really like the way she's playing it. I love the dynamic between her and Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan's just kind of like completely bewildered because he spent 10 years in the desert kind of observing Luke from afar and trying to get close but not being allowed to. And then because Owen's trying to keep him from what he feels is his real destiny. And then we get Bale, who's like, okay, well, but your responsibility is to both these kids, so go get her. And his whole reluctance to like leave because he doesn't want to leave Luke alone and leave him kind of exposed. But what he doesn't realize is that it's dangerous for both of them. It's not just him, it's her as well. And I kind of feel like Obi-Wan has closed himself off to the Force the way that Luke did in The Last Jedi, because he can't get a hold of Qui-Gon. He can't seem to connect with Qui-Gon. He's told that Jedi to bury his lightsaber in the desert the way that he did and just kind of forget who he is and what he knows about the Jedi and just live your life as normal. Just try to get on with things. It was kind of surprising to me, I guess you could say, but it also made a lot of sense that he's cut himself off, that he's trying not to because he would make an easy target for the Inquisitors, of course.
Right? Wouldn't he have to? I mean, that you would think that whole they've shown precedence of sensing others in the Force, or whatever. That you put him on Tatooine because he's not going to focus energies there, kind of thing, whatever. But if Vader's truly looking for him, like he is, or whatever, he has to sort of cut himself off and not use it. That it seems like he hadn't. The beautiful scene of her falling. Beautiful. Well, that's going to be a tough one to say. But a beautiful scene of Leia falling, down or whatever, and him summoning his master's full powers of the Force to
so much effort
to gap her. Yeah, what would have been just a fleeting. Yeah, what would have been a fleeting flick of the wrist was. Exactly, with so much effort, just a poignant moment in that character's arc of having to get back to what was just simple muscle memory for him. It speaks volumes to how he has shut himself, or he's not the man he was, shut himself off for it, or otherwise is not done it. And yeah, I hadn't thought of that, Maria, that how he can't commune with Qui-Gon. He's taught him that. They made sure that was part of the recap, which I thought was interesting, that it was going to be a bit foreshadowing of him communing, and maybe he does. There's still more to be told, but yeah, that why he can't. But he needs to be very quiet in the Force. She even says
something that gets resolved at the end, like maybe at the finale, like he finally hears Qui-Gon, So that might be.
That's one expectation I had the entire time. I was like, he's at least going to show up as a voice, and that's it.
Oh yeah,
a voice.
He can't be a ghost, but as a voice, and in some moment that helps him make a decision or see what needs to be done, type of thing. Yeah, that would be very powerful.
I mean,
Yeah,
he's close
but
himself off to the Force. He ain't going to be hearing from Qui-Gon, is he? Really? It's like,
Right.
you've got rid of your telephone. How's Qui-Gon going to call him? But I'm just debating. How is he expected
The battery
to
on his
he's
cordless
closed
died.
himself
He
off
didn't
from the
do
Force?
yeah,
Well, the battery on that communicator worked. Oh,
Well,
jeez.
yeah, exactly.
that's something that's
Yeah,
I know
so-
it's buried
Sorry.
in his little cave in the desert, but it still works.
There are a couple things about this that are I have to
Saber
remind
batteries
myself.
are still
We
good,
need
too.
we need a term. We have retcon for retconning, but we need a term that is that was the show is for my wife type of story. Because the communicator piece needs to work, needs to beep. He needs to hear it buried deep in a box somewhere or whatever, so that they can have that moment. And much like the Jedi finding him in the desert in the dark, how would that Jedi? I don't know that I know how that guy. He would be so young. How would he? Maybe he recognizes Obi-Wan, but how would he know he's there? You're not sensing him in the Force, so I think that scene is going to not work for us as Uber fans, but needs to be a part of the story as some exposition as to what's going on, what his motivation is for the lay fan.
Obi and Anakin were the two most recognizable Jedi that they had. They were like the main two. So, I mean, you would know what Anakin looked like, and you would know what Obi-Wan looked like. So, I mean, I think that guy might have been there for like a while, and it could have been someone that he interacted with,
Perhaps that guy was awful young. This is 10 years later. I put that guy at, he might have been one of a Padawans or whatever. But
like maybe, yeah.
It wasn't like there was Sports Center, ESPN recap of the Jedi's dealings while they're well known to us. Why do we assume they're super? I knew of some famous professors at college.
And that's the thing. Reading Brotherhood right now. They make a whole thing in the Brotherhood book where like all the Padawans, they all look up to Anakin and there's a whole thing about Anakin because he's the chosen one, and Anakin hates being called chosen. So every time anyone sees Anakin, the younglings and the Padawans, they're like Master Skywalker,
Yeah,
and
so weren't they like the Star Wars level, Star Wars universe level equivalent of celebrities? Because all of the news footage was
within the Order though, they were even more so. Within the Order,
right. But remember that there was this whole thing that we don't see played out, but that we hear about like in the books and stuff where they were in all the news hollows, and it was always Obi-Wan and Anakin saving the day basically for
even
Ventress
knew
okay,
who
so there
Kenobi
was some sort of recap or something.
They were celebrities basically.
Yeah, and there's Jedi News 24 channel on in the temple, so yeah. But I do think that Obi-Wan and Anakin were probably one of the most more like Yoda and stuff, and anybody on the Masters, the Master was well known amongst the whole.
And going back to what Marie was saying about the first impressions of Leia, like being the father of a 10-year-old girl, like totally spot on. Like the sassiness and all that, and the intelligence level. So I did see some people online complaining like she talks like an adult. Like, well, have you talked to a 10-year-old girl? Like,
You've never talked to a 10-year-old girl then, because they act like little adults.
Yeah. Meanwhile, a 10-year-old boy is playing with the Skyhopper and pretending he's on the puzzle.
I have a boy that's about to turn 10 in the house, and he's just outside climbing on stuff. I'm in the street shouting. I'm like, "Where are you?" And he's just like, "I didn't hear you. I just chose to ignore you. I'm doing flips on a trampoline." So
that was Owen and Baru saying, Luke, and he's on the other side of the hovel. I've seen some chatter about, not complaining, but comparing the Leia and the kid that played young Anakin in Ep1, and it's just like, wait a minute, she's in a world with loving parents, lots of education, lots of things to do, handmaidens, handlers, all that sort of. He's a slave boy with a single mom on a desert planet. To expect him to behave like her, or to be, it's just you've got to recognize the character, the expectation, like you say, Ricky, is he's not sure where he ends up.
Luke was a total like.
Yeah, right.
Was, he's like, oh, I was gonna go to a toy station. Like he was like a child still, and he was an adult. like,
And there's no reason to think he should be otherwise. I take the same umbrage with the dialogue of Attack of the Clones and those two kids, Padme and Anakin, and their scenes together. Whatever. Neither one of them should be smooth in that situation. Why would he be smooth talking to a girl, and why would she be smooth talking to a guy? It's emotions and it's human
two
nature.
people that didn't know how to date, like trying to date
they
each
got
other.
no clue
Like,
how to. So I think that dialogue. I think part of that is missed. That's some genius of Lucas to some extent. That should be the dialogue and the awkwardness of that situation.
He's
It's
not gonna be
cringeworthy to
Lando,
watch.
you know.
Exactly, it's cringeworthy to
Lando.
watch. As I'll get it, I for sure. But that should not be a Halloween. If that went the other way and it was uber smooth. We probably end up to be, there'd be some people complaining about that. Oh, they shouldn't be, Lando.
And then look at Leia or Padme. She was 4 years older than Leia is now, and she was already the queen of a whole planet. So even her mom says you could be a senator by now. If you were, focused more. So I mean,
it's just. What is it? It's just there's a great line. It's just I don't think she says older people. But it's just people in itchy clothing arguing about stuff. And Bale's like, well, you're not wrong, but it needs, you can change it. That's why you're going to be the best senator ever, because you don't want to be one. Yeah. Some great dialogue in that.
So does that mean that she's going to be going to college at like 14 then? Because I mean,
sounds like it. Doesn't
they
it?
have a senator school, don't they? When they're young.
She goes to like 11.
Junior Senate.
Padme talked about that too. Yeah, with Paolo.
She's going to university and then she's going to junior Senate.
Yeah, it's in the books too.
Mm-hmm.
There was some interesting. I was going to mention the couple of cameos apart from the clone.
Oh yeah, was that tomorrow?
Everybody.
That was tomorrow. Yeah.
Was it really?
That was Tamara Morrison.
Okay, I did not. I knew it should have been. I wanted it to be. I thought it better be, but boy, I just don't know that I see him in that.
Do you see what becomes of you when you follow Darth Vader into the temple and kill all the Jedi? This is what happens, because he was a 501st guy.
And C-3PO was on Order and
no, that was
because the
subtitles.
Subtitles.
C-3PO. R2 shined up.
Yeah, R2 was back there too. Did you see R2?
R2 was there,
background.
Oh, I have to look back.
Yeah, he was. Totally missed that.
He was serving drinks.
He's standing by the bar or something.
It's hard to see.
Super quick. You got to look fast.
All right, cool. How about the droid Leia has as a toy? Boy, that's going to be a hot seller. If only they could make it fly, but just make it noise and interact with you. Yeah, I think that's going to be flying off the shelf.
No pocket, I need to have one of those. I need one.
And they need to make it a Tamagotchi. So
I don't doubt that's on every little girl's and boys, but I don't doubt that's on everyone's Christmas. That's going to be the hot toy.
Every little girl and every girl who was once a little girl is going to want one of those, and I want one of those.
Well, you're that's included when I say every little girl. I'm still a little boy.
Exactly. Like my inner 10-year-old wants a Lola.
I don't doubt that.
That Skyhopper's on the way to Ron's house as we speak. So.
Oh, I love that the Jawa says, "Oh, he says something.
This is vintage, or this is
this is vintage. This is rare. This is hard. This is hard to find. This is a collectible." He doesn't say collectible, but he said, "Yeah, they don't make these anymore. These are hard to find."
Yeah, I was like, "No, he's a nerd. He's ordering toys." Like, I related so much to that scene.
Yep. It's very much a wonderful tie-in to all of us, kind of thing, whatever. And who's is it Favreau or is it Filoni's or is it Deborah Chow's? Who gets to keep that prop after this wraps and is all said and done?
You and McGregor stole it.
Yeah. He's a big Uber fan. Yeah, that would be.
Anakin doing it too, just sneaking on and grabbing it. Hayden Christensen doing it. Yeah.
I love Obi-Wan finding his saber in the desert. Just a.
Oh, he had both lightsabers too. That was
go bury it in the desert, and that's
buried
what he did.
It in the desert. He didn't bury it super deep, but
in the middle of the desert with no landmarks or anything. I was like, find that.
For somebody who's cut off from the Force at that point.
So that's what I was getting at, Stephen. Right? How does he?
Yeah.
Well, he's still. I wouldn't say he's cut off as in Luke style. He's buried it so deep. It's like exercising a muscle. If you don't.
But it was in the middle of the desert with like no reference points whatsoever. It was he's out there.
He knew where it was.
You also have to remember
he had to know somehow.
Well, how do Jedi find their crystals? They talk to
them. Right.
So you can walk
it's like Shawshank with what's his name, knowing the tree that the money's buried underneath.
Yeah, he can just listen for the song of the Force.
I don't think he cut himself off from the Force completely. Just cut himself off in the sense that he's like keeping very much to himself physically. But I think he maybe I mean, this is a way to, it's like you said, the song of the Force they have to listen to. Maybe that's how he heard it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's lots of stories of how they talk to the crystals, how they listen to them. The Sith have to manipulate the crystals and trick them into like hating. So yeah, there's a symbiotic relationship.
They have to bleed the crystal, don't they, or something like that, to turn it red?
Yes. They make it bleed as the line of dialogue or the line of thought that goes into why they're crimson, why they're red. But it's pinpoint accuracy because he didn't like dig around and eventually kind of it's on this half of the hole and let me he spot on dug a hole right on top of it.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
It's a nice little nod to Red Skywalker too with the buried lightsaber.
He knew exactly where that frequency was coming from, basically.
I have a question for the.
Always got no.
He had a metal detector too, so.
Yeah, metal.
What's the frequency, Kenobi?
Love it. The Jedi robes. So I wondered this in The Last Jedi and never really brought it up or asked anyone or whatever. But in The Last Jedi, as Luke's spinning around, his robes are kind of split. Like the bottom part down by your knees was almost like legs to some extent. I always envisioned them as being a full circle. And I see that here with Obi-Wan. I think it's in the first episode where he goes to get on the transport to go off planet. You see that sort of split robe thing. Is that just something I've never noticed in A New Hope or robes, or do they have different ones? I always thought, and maybe it comes from the toys, that the robes were like a full half circle down at the bottom, not split like that.
What do you mean, like the actual hoodie thing?
No, not the hood, but the part down by your legs. Let's see if I can drop a picture. The part that's down by your legs.
Well, I mean, the ones that I have, they're like karate gis where it just, it's tied around and it is split.
I probably couldn't point out anybody's robes if you put them all in a line because
even Vader has like the little skirtish looking thing under his belt that kind of flares out, and he has the over cape. So there's like two different.
It looks good for spinning when you got a twirl.
Well, yeah, that's where I noticed. That's where you really notice it. And so I dropped a picture in the chat. Not that it's going to help the podcast, but that's what I envision. A picture in the chat of what Jedi robes look like, where it's a full back, but then let's see if I can drop this in there. This is what we see. That bottom half below the waist is almost like legs. I don't know how else to describe it. It's split in the back, and like
maybe
I say,
it's a combat robe, and it's a
right. It was first noticed in The Last Jedi, and I was like, well, is it always been that way? And I just never noticed it before because we don't only see Obi-Wan very briefly in A New Hope. Or
that second picture is way too much thigh gap. That's very weird. I don't like that one.
Yeah,
they're very stick-legged. No, I don't think. Hopefully, I don't see that.
No, but we see it in Obi-Wan, and we definitely saw it in The Last Jedi. And I just wondered about.
So Obi-Wan's cloak was like that in the
in this episode, or in this I think it's I think it's at the end of the first one where he joins the transport. We see him walking.
I don't know.
No, it's purposeful.
I don't remember seeing that in the prequels or anything like that. That seems like a very sort of like new fashion type of thing, because obviously it makes things easier for combat. You don't have to like drop your robe in the middle of some hot lightsaber or duel or whatever. But I don't know. That is a good question.
We'll talk about what about the Inquisitors on Tatooine with two suns in the black in their black garb? Boy, they're hating that design choice.
Reva was clearly sweating.
The Grand Inquisitor, my outfit is melting.
Well, the Grand Inquisitor even got a hat. So I mean, poor chap, and he's
and he's pasty white. So yeah, he's gonna. So we haven't talked about that elephant in the room. What the hell? How does I mean, obviously we've got more episodes to see or whatever, and they've got to square it. There's no way he can be. I mean, we've already saw that Grand Inquisitor get dispatched later in the timeline. So
in the comics, didn't Vader like pretty much kill him and then bring him back and turn him into an Inquisitor?
Yes.
So how do we not
mention that? But he was not full embodiment, was he?
But how do we know that he's not part robot in the midsection? So, could be something easily fixed.
Most of the I've read a few reviews and people's chatter online, and people seem to be going down the clone line.
That's the first place everybody go. Oh, yeah, that's the first place everybody.
I think he's going to be out of commission for a couple episodes, and then they're going to bring him back because
I say it's just a scratch, really.
Yeah, even the scenes because we still haven't seen the Fortress Inquisitoris yet, and in those stills they had, it's in the trailer too. It's Reva with the other Inquisitors, and he's not there. So I'm sure he's gonna come back, and he has to. They're not gonna
Be awesome if they comes back and they fix him
"Oh,
and he looks like Rebels. That would shut us all the hell up. That's for sure. I would welcome that in a million years. I mean, truly, if they find some way to bring him back and then he looks like that Inquisitor, yeah, it's like, oh please, that would be just a great nod to to those of us that have watched it all and know that tidbit kind of thing, to do something like that.
He was going around with black AirPods, wasn't he? In this,
I did wonder what those
what's that all about?
That's how he was in the cartoon. I mean, it's
Mouse series or something, wasn't it? I don't know what that was all about. I'm almost guaranteed we're going to see him again.
He's not dead. People freaking out like, oh, they're changing Rebels. No, they're not going to go through all this trouble doing the Ahsoka show, bringing the Rebel people. They're not going to do all this stuff just to change things. They just had to take him out of commission and have her,
be the main
run amok.
Yeah. How about Bail dropping Purrgil?
Yeah.
That's a good one. But you guys are forgetting that these are Jedi basically.
Yes.
So force healing abilities.
Well, yeah, dark side ability. I mean, Vader got,
Well, they're not that strong. Like he's just going to go to a bacta tank and spend some time there for a day or two, and then it'll be I don't think it's as deep.
But you need to get him out of the way.
Qui-Gon go to
bring in Vader.
Yeah, so right, that doesn't work because Qui-Gon. I hate Qui-Gon got stabbed in the gut. He could, and it's Jedi Master Qui-Gon that knows all about some other stuff or whatever.
Like, probably died right away.
But no other Jedi in that period used the Force healing because there was things they weren't teaching about the Force anymore.
Right,
that's why Rey learned it.
Yeah, that can't be a thing.
And it seems like it might be like something that touches on the dark side.
It was in those books, those ancient Jedi texts, and it wasn't being taught anymore.
Let them have you page turners. They are not.
Yeah, it's definitely not healing.
Even Anakin says, "I know there's things that Jedi aren't showing me." That was probably one of the things they weren't showing him.
Or not healing, but maybe. Because remember when they found Anakin and the Emperor kind of like touches his forehead,
he does.
I'm pretty sure he was transferring his own life force or whatever into Anakin to keep him alive long enough to get him to the surgeon droids and all that. So that's probably something that might come into play here, or we're just fan.
I don't think I've ever heard this posited. That scene isn't that somewhat? It's like poetry. It rhymes. Is that like Ben touching Luke on the head?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right. And put those two scenes together, that there is a little something there to Ben doing something for Luke.
Yeah, and then Luke wakes up immediately afterwards. Yeah, without a scratch.
It's just thrown around. There's really not a lot of evidence. I mean, and that's really not the way of the Sith. You either survive or you die, and that's it. It's if Palpatine has to save you, then you're really not strong enough.
I did like the dynamic that was. Now there's many of them, the Inquisitors, but that. It sort of spoke to the power struggle that is the problem with the Sith when there were many of them, that there can only ever be two, because when there's many of them, they're so constantly trying to create angle for power
kind of thing.
That I really kind of took to that as being, all right, that speaks to why there can only be two type of thing to their mentality, because if you have multiples, they're all just going to be conniving. Oh, well, I'll bring Kenobi in. No, I brought him here. I want the glory for, they just can't, they're not selfless at all to be able to ultimately get to the goal, which was let's deliver Kenobi. With the Inquisitor, poked in the gut, and who's going to save him? Who knows he's up there? The fifth brother might, I guess, but who would go up there to find him? Obviously, they can plot device anything they want to go find him, but yeah, that'll be fun to see how they address that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they have to get him out of the way so that way, there's no leader now, at least for a minute. So Vader's going to have to come in and take charge.
Yeah, take charge.
Because you can't have the Inquisitor and Vader running around telling them what to do.
Because Vader, that gets back to the whole Vader. Well, how did you find Kenobi? How did you lure him out? How did you find him 10 years? Oh, well, I kidnapped the Bail Organa's, the senators, because he had fought with him in the Clone Wars. How would Anakin not just glom onto the Organa? All right, let's go capture them again.
Who knows? It could be his idea. I think she's dispatched by Vader personally. Like there's
Bail says
that all the time in the book.
One last fight. I need you to save my daughter. One last fight. Why would it be one last fight if this works? And it does beautifully.
Exactly.
How do you not kidnap the heck out of her?
that was just trying to sweet talk Obi-Wan into, come on, one last time, help me out here, man. You know, like,
Mhm.
just gotta do this one more thing for me, and then next time it's to be okay, one more thing.
One more thing, and then another thing, and then another thing, and then
That's why he's like,
drawn
I'm getting
into
too old for this sort of thing. Like, you know, you must come to me, Aldrin.
So how did Bale know exactly where to go there? I mean, I get the communicator. You can just ring the communicator, but that surely
he showed up in
he's
his
not
cave.
visited him on Tatooine, has he before? Everybody knows
He
where he
might
is.
have, I mean,
His
it,
cave.
you know.
But see, and again, that becomes the whatever that term is. It has to be that, because as Uber fans, we're like, there's no way he should know where he is, because if he's interrogated, or force mind probe, boom, the game is up. So he shouldn't know where he is. Just that he's on Tatooine. You know, how can he show up in his hovel? So there has to be that sort of lay fan con aspect of we have to allow for that because it's
already
for my
established
wife,
in the prequels though that if someone sends you communication, you can trace it back to where they are. That was the whole thing in the prequels. Like, send no reply.
Because Obi-Wan I agree, but Obi-Wan wouldn't answer the communicator then if that could trace him, because he doesn't know who's on the other side until he opens it.
Well, so he's at service for Bale, so.
Or unless
it's not like Earth phones, is it? It doesn't come up with a picture of who it is calling. It's just like flashing lights, isn't it? You've got to enter it to find out who it is. In fact, it's not very much side, is it?
Like an old-fashioned phone.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like the bat phone. Only one.
But it's a burner phone though, so he doesn't.
Yeah, see, I was thinking that too. That if that's ringing, then you know it's Bale on the other end.
Yeah.
But it could have been somebody
it's a direct line to the bat phone sort of thing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It
that
can't
could
be
be
anybody
dangerous.
else. It has to, because that would be extremely dangerous.
And it could be encrypted, and who knows what. So.
But my reason for it's dangerous is if somebody breaks into Bale's office and picks up the red phone, they could use it to find, if they'd have to know that tie exists.
Well,
there,
I mean, unless it doesn't actually look like one, because
Yeah, but just think it's a normal communicator, and who
or
cares?
it could be
if
disguised as something else.
Yeah, or if they're less than 10 years old and they do it like an analog telephone, they'll have no idea how to call anybody on it.
I have 3 phones in my drawers downstairs. He just has a pile of communicators in a drawer. Communicator.
Yeah.
Well, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, battery life was awesome, because that's what I need in my phone. Is where I can shove it in a drawer.
Keep up with it
work.
though, knowing that that's his bat phone? He would make sure that it still had the working parts and all that stuff. That's not something.
That thing was buried. He wasn't charging it every month.
What about, so going back a bit, so we know that Obi-Wan can commune with Qui-Gon. So at the end of Revenge of the Sith, as it's nicely recapped to us, Yoda's saying, "Oh, teach you I can to commune with your old master," sort of thing. So does that mean that they went off on a great big, 7-day intensive course before Obi-Wan went to Tatooine? Because presumably they didn't do their lessons online between Tatooine and Dagobah. So he must have taught him before he went off to Tatooine. In which case, Obi-Wan must have communed at least once. With Qui-Gon,
so that brings the question then, in these 10 years, has he communicated with him? Or is he still trying to figure that out?
I think he's still trying to figure it out.
He's at least talked to him once.
Yeah, it seems. That's how I felt. It's like,
well, that's why I'm asking this question, because I agree. I think I was assuming he has since, because we're like, commune with your old master. Well, I'll teach you. It's like, okay, well, great. But maybe he's still trying to learn figure that out now that he's joined back with the Force, or if he's cut himself off or whatever we're calling it, cut himself off light, that would be why he hasn't talked to him in the last 10 years. But now that he's getting back into it, he stands a chance of like Luke seeing that, first hearing the voice as he gets closer to using the Force, and then the apparition on Hoth type of thing or whatever, that maybe he hasn't talked to him in these last 10 years. Maybe he's still trying to figure that out.
Well,
that
and then we know
It
that
could go
Yoda is able to force project because he did it in Rebels. So I mean, he could have dropped off the kids, went into solitude, and then Yoda communicates, via the Force with Obi-Wan.
Yeah, to Stephen's question of the teaching, what was it, a class, whatever? I just kind of think, I don't know. I guess I think Obi-Wan and Yoda are still able to sort of talk.
Yeah, they are.
From Dagobah to Tatooine to some extent. Or he gave him the ancient Jedi text and said, "Here, read these. They're not page turners, but the info you seek is in there."
He took the master class.
A long distance.
Get him back.
Long distance Force communication. Surely that would be picked up more by the Inquisitors, though.
Yeah, touche. Yep, right. That would be noticed. So it can't be doing that.
Well, I don't think it's a power thing. I don't think it's him not able to. it's either he just hasn't fully learned, or Qui-Gon is letting him figure it out for himself. He's like, sometimes you just got to learn to deal with. Yeah, you just have to deal with Luke on your own. I can't hold your hand the whole time. You trust in the Force, do what you feel is right, trust yourself realistically, because right now he doesn't believe in himself. So it's like, trust in your decisions, follow it, and you will become, a Jedi again.
I love it. I really do, but it's more plot device than anything.
Brian, I know you're in the middle of your Clone Wars rewatch, but you do get to see how Yoda learns about all this in the Clone Wars. So
I just started season 6 this morning.
Okay.
So like 2 or 3
when you
episodes.
get to the Yoda episodes, and it goes through all this.
Oh, you're gonna have. We need a episode or a Senate about that. We should all rewatch it because you're gonna have to watch those 2 or 3 times. I remember them being so heavy, so deep, so like, well, these ain't for kids. there is some heavy stuff going on here that I need.
And I think that's gonna tie in directly into this show.
Okay. Yeah, when anything about Ahsoka or the Inquisitors, I'm like, man, now I definitely got to push through this stuff. So it's sparking my interest to watch.
I was watching D Plus and somehow Rebels pops up as a thing to watch or whatever, and holy cow, Rebels does not get the appreciation it deserves. I stumbled across Rebels season 3 episode 21, and it's at the end of the Bendu arc, and Thrawn's finding them, and they've got it's just so much in there, and the ships, and Dodonna's in there, and so much that goes on in there. Yeah, that show didn't start off strong. I think it was the evolution of the hashtag HSEOF or whatever, Stephen, that I don't want to say on the podcast, so we're being friendly. But where things got
beat, everything's on fire. Yeah,
everything got on fire real quick, kind of thing. Whatever. That show has a lot, much like the Clone Wars, has a good bit of mythology in it, and some. Yeah. I think with Ahsoka's series, thank you, a lot of lore. I think with the Ahsoka series, that's going to get a resurgence and a rewatch by many, and perhaps a original watch by a lot of people that discounted it as cartoon, if you will, and said, I don't need to do that. I'm gonna have to follow up on it.
It's for kids.
Me.
Like,
no.
One viewing of the finale of Clone Wars will tell you that it is not for children.
And I love cartoons. I watch cartoons all the time. So, but like, what drives me crazy is just really, it's one of those things that just kind of annoys me. For one, I don't like CGI animation, and 2, those lightsabers just look so ridiculous in Rebels. Like those pencil lightsabers,
which was supposed to be a nod back to the original movie. Apparently, that was a thing where people were complaining that the new lightsabers are too thick. I'm like,
I agree with Brian. The stylized aspect sometimes where they take. Where they do something stylized because it's in that not format, but in the style of that show where in that show the lightsabers are with a very super thin and with a very sharp point. It's like, well, that's not what lightsabers are, and that one really has a stylized Yoda that is just beyond cringeworthy. I mean, there's no other way to say it. It is hard to see that Yoda and go, wait, what? Somebody signed off and said, yeah, that works. Put that on screen for everyone to watch. So that part of the animation and the CGI aspect of storytelling is a bit difficult because we have a known quantity, but
which is why I'm fine with the Inquisitor the way he looks in the show now, because I mean everything's elongated in Rebels and in Clone Wars too. Because look at Count Dooku. I mean, the guy's face was like looked like a totem pole. Like.
Yeah. It looked like a tiki or something.
Yeah, he looked like a tiki.
It's warming to me, but just the AirPods I can't get my head around at the moment. But I was just going to ask.
The only thing for me was he doesn't have the lines under the chin. Like they don't go through his whole face. It kind of stops at his eyes. So I mean, I don't know why they decided.
I kind of took that like Tion Medon, has him really that perhaps an age thing that as you became an older whatever that species is, the lines become. More defined fully down on the chin and everything like that. Whereas early on, not so much. So I kind of chalked it up as that because he would seem in the movies, that dude would seem to be much more older in stature. The role that he was playing.
He was an elder,
an elder. Thank you. He'd be an elder of that of that species, whatever it is. So I kind of okay with that. And maybe that speaks to how the head gets elongated. Well, no, we see him in Rebels with the elongated head, so he should have the elongated.
Well, then that's him.
maybe
You know,
falls
he
into a
didn't
trap
have an elongated
at some point.
head. He was just wearing a cowl that.
Right. We just need to see if we're comparing him to Rebels, and this is the timeline is so close. But like we said, he's been killed off, so maybe he could come back with it. Look a little.
Real quick on the Grand Inquisitor, I like how he totally, when he was talking to Reva, he totally Tarkined her. Like she did all this work, discovered him, and it's like, I will take it, and it will be my thing. I was like, oh, he Tarkined her, man. He totally took over. His place. I was just like, what a
Thank you very much for your help. I will take over from here. Thank you.
I'm going to use that at work the next time somebody takes credit for. Oh, you Tarkin me.
Bro,
Dude, what are you
Tarkin
doing?
me.
You can't Tarkin me. That's my idea.
Yeah, he totally did. I was like, what a jerk.
Yeah, right. No, that was, and even more speaks to the whole why the Sith, why that side can't really work
Why
because
there's a rule of two.
yeah,
she's gonna choke on her aspirations pretty soon.
Yeah,
absolutely. Quick question. I have a question.
Did we like there was a they put the bounty on Obi-Wan, which I thought was a very clever idea of hers. Whatever. There's a Jurassic Park bounty hunter. There's a
that guy's chilling outside of that crack house.
What's blue in Jurassic Park? What the daggone it?
The raptor.
Velociraptor.
Yeah, Velociraptor. There's a Velociraptor looking bounty hunter. I just remember seeing that, thinking, oh, my nephew's gonna love that. There's a dinosaur.
Brian, isn't there a dinosaur in High Republic?
Yeah,
Yes.
I feel like there was one scene, but yeah, I was like, oh, it's Robbie from Dinosaurs.
Hang on a minute. We had the dinosaur in Attack of the Clones, the Jedi which fell off the stadium thing in Geonosis.
Oh, he wasn't that dinosaur. He was not. Yeah, he had like the head thing, but like this guy was full on Mario Brothers 1989 movie dinosaur head. It was really.
Oh yeah.
Did he? Yeah. I've got a quick question because something that came up to me in episode 2 near the end. You probably come up with a really simple answer to this question. When Obi-Wan and Leia are looking out and eyeing up the Inquisitor's ship, I thought Leia says to him, "Who are they?" And he goes, Obi-Wan goes, "Oh, they're the Inquisitors. They're former Jedi turned to whatever, that kind of stuff." How does he know they're former Jedi? How does he know about them and all that? He doesn't even know about Anakin being Vader, and yet he knows that the Inquisitors are all former Jedi.
Well, everybody there
knows
knows
that.
on Tatooine.
Well, I guess, yeah, so how would he know? But right, he does know they're being hunted because he tells that Jedi to go bury your lightsabers, live a simple life. He sees them there, but right, how would he know they're former Jedi or what their origins?
We just go, oh, that's Tom, that's John, that's. I remember seeing Fred back in the in level 4 back in the days. How does he know all that? How does he know that information? I mean,
yeah, it might be a little bit of whatever that term is we need to come up with.
He might have known what's his name was a temple guard, so I mean he would have recognized
only
him.
at one point though, wasn't he? I mean,
They
he's
wear
not
a mask, though.
years.
Yeah, but they rotate out. The temple guards always rotate out, so it's always a different Jedi. So they take turns.
Yeah, but didn't they wear hats? Didn't they wear hats? Didn't they wear helmets?
Hats.
Hats.
I mean, this may not be the first time that they're there because the people on Tatooine knew. You know, he asked the bartender guy, like, "Oh, do you know who we are? Yes, you're Inquisitors. You hunt Jedi." Like, how would that guy know? You know, so like,
Yeah.
common people knew who
Back
they
to
were.
the HoloNet and the
It's been 10 years, so they would know.
Yeah.
So
I think
I
people would
understand.
know.
I understand
At the point where they have
everybody-
no one left to hunt because they've already got everybody. You know.
But
Or they
I
think they've got
understand that
everybody
Obi-Wan-
anyway.
I understand Obi-Wan would know about there are Inquisitors, but how would he know that most of them are former Jedi?
All right. Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, they're force
How would
sensitive.
he know their
Well,
origin? Well, maybe he would inquire to some extent with Yoda, perhaps. The right. Who are they? How are they able to hunt Jedi? You know, it can't be commoners. Oh, well, they're former Jedi, so they're trained in the ways, and when there's multiples to fund, so there's probably a way to explain that to some extent.
It's not the end of the world. I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
I just wonder when he said
Sure.
that. I mean, how does he know that?
Well, and like the fake Jedi that was using the magnets and stuff that ends up, like he buys
Well, that
Obi-Wan
was-
some time with his life. I mean, that was a
great. I thought she was going to instantly kill him, but
Oh, he should have not went after her. They would have been gone. But yeah.
Or maybe
Yeah, see, I thought also
I need to
when she-
rewatch.
when
He
she did
doesn't.
the-
He doesn't perish, right? She just runs off, or
They don't show.
she forces him aside, and he says, "Ooh, that wasn't magnets." That's what it was.
Yeah.
That's what
And
it
then
was.
she goes
reads
into
his
his mind, and then
mind,
she kind of
doesn't
just
Yeah,
like,
she reads
yeah.
his mind and then just runs off. So he's still around. That's right. He didn't.
She Borg-gulleted
Gotcha.
him.
Poor Gullet.
I thought.
Well, see, that's the problem. As we come up with force healing and all these other things, it's just like, they become time travel. They become so easy whenever you need some information out of somebody that should have been reserved for a Kylo only type of thing, whatever. It's just too easy because you could do that to Bale, capture Bale and force get information out of him. Then it just that's a
But
it's
they
very
only work on the
slippery. It's
weak-minded. So
very very I wouldn't call Ray weak-minded. So I mean, you got to be in close proximity to him, whatever. But it just anyway, it becomes time travel. It becomes too easy sometimes. So they got to be very careful with that.
Ray didn't give him what he needed, though, did she?
yeah, Ray didn't really.
She fought him.
That's what I mean. So it
She
can't
fought
be
him off.
weak-minded. Okay, weak-minded would give up the info.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. He did, didn't he? Because
Right
he's
away,
not,
yeah.
he's not, he's not a Jedi. He's not, or anybody who would have the ability to resist.
Yeah, even right. He done.
He wasn't
I
in
did
much.
like it. That was a fun character.
And
That
I'm
was-
sure that
Yeah,
Bale
Kumail
has been
Nanjiani. Yeah,
trained at
I like him.
being a senator. I'm sure that Bale has been trained in like anti-interrogation techniques. That
Isn't that a thing?
sort of
I
thing.
remember reading that somewhere. Oh,
but to the point we were making where Ray has force abilities and would block it out, whereas the guy, the fake Jedi, has nothing whatsoever. Whatever. Would training like that for a non-force sensitive be enough?
I'm referring to the and I that's why when I watch behind the scenes stuff, the audition clips from when Carrie Fisher was auditioning and Luke and Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Mark has a line like, "Well, she's a senator, so she's trained in the art of mind control," so she wouldn't give up the plans, So maybe that's still a canon thing, where senators and stuff and people like that they can
So they
learn how to
Well,
resist.
aren't
mind
people?
control.
Isn't that a thing? Like with I don't know with in maybe military or something like that, where you learn anti-interrogation type, where if you're captured,
They don't
you
get
don't give up the
broken.
information as easily. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't have to be force sensitive.
Yeah, but
that.
senators don't. Like
But
senators don't
but
do that.
In Star Wars, they
But it might be like a latent. It might be like a latent force ability because remember the force is in everything and everyone.
Yeah, touche. Yeah, it is supposed to be with us all.
Yeah, I can see
Stronger
layers.
in others. Stronger in
But much
others.
like the Jedi mind trick doesn't work on the weak. So it could be easily waved away with just fans either accepting that this character has a strong mind or that this character is just a swindler, and he doesn't have a strong mind. So it's just
Right.
he
like,
was
okay.
totally a Jedi fanboy though. Like he totally loved the Jedi, which is why he helped Obi-Wan in the end.
Yeah, because he was doing right by the family. He wasn't
Yeah.
swindling them. He did. A Jedi wouldn't do it for money, but
yeah, at first
so
I thought
Yeah.
he was like working for the Inquisitors, getting.
Was helping them.
He tells them the mother like, oh, like he's showing or something like that.
yeah. Wonder,
His abilities like
His
keep him hidden.
abilities.
Yeah. So that kid was force sensitive. So who is that kid? And they were going to Corellia, which is like the worst place to go.
Yeah, that was an odd play too. And do you think he was force sensitive, or was that part of his con?
I don't know.
I mean, how would he recognize it? But what does he care? He's just after the credit. So whether he's showing or not showing, to me, I took it as part of the con that you would tell somebody, "Oh, your kid's force sensitive. You better get him off planet. I can help, but I
Inquisitors are
need
here,
credits." And here's how you're going to get off planet by the Jedi mind trick, which was just poorly executed. I loved Obi-Wan in the shadows watching him and lurking, just basically eye rolling. He didn't eye roll,
Yeah.
but he Jedi master eye rolled. It was such a good
He's
scene.
looking at him, and you could just tell that like the eye roll is completely internal. You're just looking at him. He's like, oh, this guy's full of.
What is going on here? How about Obi-Wan using a blaster? Obi-Wan?
So uncivilized.
Uncivilized Obi-Wan. What are you doing? Oh, and then the Matrix aspect of roof running, jumping, or whatever. Reva did. I swear she did the Matrix arms out.
No, she did like the
Somersaults.
Wolverine Sabretooth like hop.
She did a bunch of she did a bunch of somersaults, but There's some part of the Matrix where like your arms are out, your wrists are bent, one knee's bent in the air in front of you. I really think she did a Matrix jump at one point in time. She definitely
I
did
was
all the
hoping
weird
she was going to
somersaults.
use the helicopter blades to go across the city.
Oh,
and
shit.
it
God,
didn't
they
happen, and I
happen.
was so disappointed.
She doesn't have a. No, she does have a. She doesn't wear
Yeah,
it
I
on
mean,
her
why
back.
wouldn't
Yeah,
she
she
use
does have
that?
one.
You can just totally just
Yeah,
float
she
across.
she doesn't wear it on
Because
her
they
back
want
there, but
to
she does
admit that
have.
it's real. They don't
Yeah,
want
yeah,
to admit because there's
But
a
she
big
had to
difference
get there late,
between
and
Matrix fans and people who's watched the cartoons and
Exactly.
people who's watching the streaming. So when you show it to the more general audience, they're going to be like, "This is terrible. Star Wars is dead." And it's like, "This has existed for like 10 years, guys. Like, don't." So you definitely got to be careful with the more general audience.
Yeah, and that's what it is. The show is, has to be built for it's for us, but it has to entertain a very general audience. That those things, can't be a part of it. And some of the exposition that's in there that makes us go, wait, what? It has to exist as well, and we have to be okay with it.
I do like that she's like really hell bent and set on
She was
getting
right. That's the thing. The Inquisitors are all mad at her for her brashness and her.
It's like the one
impulsiveness,
person like,
whatever.
why are
If
you
let
making
her
this
run the
work? It's
show,
5
then
o'clock on a 3 o'clock on a Friday. Like, why are you trying to work? She's that one. She's that person.
I do. Yeah, right. I have one of those. I do find the Inquisitors on Tatooine. It seems very easy to hide from them. Just don't be out in the open. When you see the ship coming, we saw the Jawas. We saw everybody sort of scurry and sort of clean up shop or what they had doing or whatever. But go hide. Don't be out in the. But maybe you're hiding out in the open, trying to not catch their eye. Like Owen was right dead center. He's like, be off to the side. They don't.
Yeah. Then he looks at her
pick
like,
on that
why
lady.
are we
Although she
looking
spoke
at-
up.
Like, why are you looking at her, dude? Like,
Yeah, he's hiding
keep
in
your head
plain
down.
sight.
Yeah, that guy though. So she was gonna kill the bartender, dude, because had he not
Oh,
stopped,
she threw a knife at him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, because that's how you draw out Jedi. She doesn't
Yeah,
care
she-
who she kills. She's willing to kill everybody, burn and still kill everyone for glory.
See, and I was wondering, like,
But
why
they
is
do-
it? I was wondering, like, why did the Grand Inquisitor stop her from, hitting him with the saber? It's because he needs more Inquisitors.
Yeah. Well, that, and he said
He's
prepare him
information.
for interrogation, and she was like, "I've had enough of this," and was just going to kill him. Well, that doesn't get you any closer to Kenobi. So there is part of where she's brash and impulsive, and
that guy knew where Kenobi was. So
right. So right, if they let so both are right in that sense. If the interrogation gets to happen, although they did capture him and interrogate him, so did they? But he didn't give up.
He just fight and then he died.
Kenobi. Oh, touche. And you're right. He wasn't sliced up or all. He was whole and just hanging there. So, was there any evidence of a poke to the gut or anything? I don't recall. I just know he was dead. So, that was.
I did
not
like
weird,
the cutting off
but-
of the hands. That was like really savage of her. Like that poor lady.
Yeah.
Don't talk back. Swipe.
He's like,
And
next
that's
time
how
you grab for something, you'll think of us.
Yeah.
That was pretty
What
nasty.
a wonderful time! What a wonderful time we live in for sure. Especially do the last half hour for Celebration. Just all the stuff that came out of Celebration. I mean,
Well, yes, I
oh,
was
man.
going to say, do we have anybody have any last thoughts on Kenobi that we haven't, a point that hasn't been raised thus far? Forever say now.
It's good. I like it.
Then we can move on to
It was the
Celebration.
droid I was looking for. Yeah.
well, you have the revelation. So at the end, and she's
Oh,
talking
yeah,
about
we
it. And
didn't
I'm
talk
not
about
sure
it.
how she knows Anakin. That's the little why they would know the full-on story of he's alive. Oh wait, you didn't know?
Well, they work for
Ha,
him, so
Yeah, but,
Well,
but
we'll
she's-
see. We'll have to wait and see more, I think.
she senses that he doesn't know and sort of uses that, and then his revelation that he's alive, and then the end shot of episode 2. Oh, the chills, the
But-
legit feels and goosebumps that scene elicited. Oh, I love.
Okay, so if she was a Padawan at the time in the temple, Anakin's running around as Darth Vader, as just Anakin face, no costume. He's going around killing people, right? Before he travels Mustafar. So
Only
you as a
2 people
Jedi would
that-
see Anakin running around calling himself Darth Vader. They're addressing him, oh, Lord Vader, So you would know Anakin was Darth Vader if you were
No,
one of those Padawans.
No, nobody's referring to him as Vader.
The
at that-
troopers
I mean,
were.
They were, but who would hear that? I get what you're going for, but the kids aren't overhearing. No one's overhearing him. They're to your point, but in a different way. They're seeing Anakin slaughter Jedi and kids and younglings. They're not seeing Vader. They don't know that he's Vader.
And he went off to Mustafar relatively quick. He killed the kids, and then he went off to Mustafar. So
He wasn't doing a lot of damage in the Jedi temples. What you're saying? Left that to the 501st.
Yeah, he wasn't hanging around. Like, he probably did his thing and left. It's, he's got more important things to worry about than, so he just went off and did his own thing with Mustafar, and that's when Obi-Wan and Padme show up.
But I mean, these are like he trains the Inquisitors, so I would think they would know a little bit more about him than the average person. So
do we know that yet?
I mean, that's how it's always been stated. Yeah,
that's what I'm asking.
They were his
so
Inquisitors.
That's canon, if you will, so to speak.
Even in Rebels, I think they talk about they're his Inquisitors. That he's the leader of the Inquisitors.
So anyone else confirm that? Because I know that's what we think, because we have to, because that's why we don't have Vader, because if you have Vader all the time, he wouldn't ever lose type of, he couldn't be shaking his fist. I'll get you next week.
He fights him in the comics and beats him pretty handily. And then the Grand Inquisitor was like, I thought I was next. And Palpatine's like, nah, you're always a chump. Because Palpatine's always testing Vader in the comics. Like, he throws him off a cliff and he chops off his legs and he leaves him to die. Like, he's totally just abusing Vader the whole time in the comics.
Keeping him in check.
Yeah, and making him be angry and keep growing in power. Like, let's see if you can get out of here without any arms and legs type of thing. And he uses the Force to build his own legs and then fights Ochi of Festoon. So the comics are packed with stuff, especially...
the Emperor also had like those cybernetic people that were trying to fight, that he was trying to train behind Vader's back. Like, they weren't Force sensitive, but they had like fake gadgets that would make it seem that way.
Yeah, like It's a Trap species, those guys, he was in there too. But no, I think, that's about all I have from the show.
We're even going after him at the end of I don't know if you should watch with the closed captions on. I watch Disney just has it on from the kids watching it and my wife watching it, whatever. So it's fun to have the closed captions on because you hear a lot, or you get to hear everything that's going on by reading it or whatever. And when she gets on the platform, whenever she's calling out for Obi-Wan, and I distinctly remember it saying sing-songy voice, or in a sing-songy voice, in parentheses or whatever, and it says Obi-Wan. So it's letting you know that she was like, Obi-Wan, I'm looking for you, or whatever she says. But I just remember there was something there telling that it was in a sing-song voice. Thought that was fun.
He definitely is a good villain. I like that that she's so set on it, and I just can't wait for Vader to suit up and see what he does. So it's gonna be Friday. Can't come quick enough. So
she kind of lets him go though. She's so hell bent on. She was so close to getting him in the ship. Granted, she might not be the Force sensor or Force powerful, but she was right there. She would have, if she's so, I want this, I want to turn you in. She would have jumped on that ship and tried to disable it, or done something to just not be standing there literally shaking her fist, saying, "I'll find you." That it has to, because we need this story and need the episode and it's.
Well, I mean, now it's cemented that she knows he's alive. They all kept telling her, "You're crazy. He's not around."
Oh. Well, all right. So there's that. We'll find. How hard would it be? Where are their ships? Whatever.
Now Anakin can go look for him. Now Vader can go. Oh, Obi-Wan is alive. Let me go suit up.
Well, is that Hayden in the back to tank with the COVID mask on?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's him.
Remember, it comes out Wednesdays. Oh,
it comes out Wednesdays. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Yeah, it comes out Wednesday. So we only have to wait till Wednesday.
Oh, it's Wednesday. Oh,
I think they go through all that trouble to put
so Friday can come quick.
Back to tank. I mean, it wasn't in a tank; it was a screen in front of him or whatever. But all that makeup on Hayden just for that little scene. Obviously, if they use him elsewhere,
it could have been anybody.
Well, I mean,
that's
they
what
used the maquette of him for Rogue One. They did a mold of his head and stuff.
They were going to have it there.
Yeah, so shoot him all together in makeup. He's not being in makeup for one day. He just does all his scenes and then he gets edited together.
I mean, it could have been an extra scene from Rogue One.
Yeah. No, to Ryan's point, right? If they're going to make him up, they're going to make it up, shoot all those scenes, and come out of it. So it wouldn't be that much of a stretch, or whatever. But how awesome was it that they dropped early? I was expecting and then I got the news that it was going to be midnight for my time. So I was like, oh, sweet. And then maybe I can make this happen, kind of thing. So yeah, that was a nice added bonus
I was
to whatever powers to be or celebration or making decisions. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
I
good.
had actually gone to bed. I went to bed like at 7 that night because I wasn't feeling well. And then I woke up probably around 10 o'clock and I was like, you know what? Let me just check Disney Plus. I didn't know anything. Like, I know that somebody had messaged me. I think it was you and another one of my, Ricky, and another one of my friends had messaged me like, hey, they dropped early. But I didn't even look at like any of my messages or anything. I just kind of like cruised
It
on
was
the
like
TV and
almost
found out
8
that,
o'clock.
hey,
Yeah. It was
yeah,
like
I found out
7:30 or
that,
something
hey,
like that.
they were there.
Which was because at Celebration, they were watching it early at that time. Because I'm following some other podcasters on Twitter, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna go in to see the episodes now." I'm like, "Oh, they're gonna get to see it early, and we have to wait till midnight." And then, 30 minutes later, they're like, "We're dropping them at 9 o'clock." So I think they were just trying to get people not, spoiling anything online.
Yeah, I think possibly. Yeah, they just played it safe and dropped them. But I was like, I'm just gonna go and see because they were at Celebration and I know the way it rolls because I've been to Celebration a couple times. Usually they'll do stuff like that, special stuff like that. So I was like, I'm just gonna look just to see, and it turns out that they dropped them at 9 o'clock. So I was glad.
Should we touch on a Celebration news?
Yes.
Yeah. How about some news? Do we have any
15
news?
minutes on the clock. Let's go.
Yeah. So I just picked the big ones that I have. And if you need me to stop and mention a few things, but again, a lot of these are just very broad announcements with no discussion, but I'll save the one with the most information for the last. So let me see, I had my gallery open. Okay, so the Star Wars Jedi Order Fallen Order sequel comes out in 2023, so that was announced, Jedi Survivor. So I have not played that. I'm really gonna have to watch the cinematic trailer of that to get that story because it's so canon. So, Ricky's gonna have to talk about it one episode. Just really fill us in. There's a lot of information there. So the sequel's coming out in 2023. They announced a High Republic era show that follows Younglings coming out in spring 2023, and it appears to be live action. So
no, it's animated, right?
Is that one animated? No, I don't think
it's on
so.
Disney Junior. They don't have any live action shows on there.
Oh, is it? It's on Disney. I knew it was on Disney also. Okay.
I was hoping it was on Disney XD or the older ones, but yeah, it's going to be.
I wish they would say in their announcements live action or some of them they say animated, but then other ones they don't say anything.
I just assumed it was animated. I haven't got to that point in the live stream yet. So.
Yeah, so lots of this is more news to come. Andor was announced to release August 31st, so that will be 2 seasons of 12 episodes. And they dropped the Andor trailer. Maybe we'll have to touch on that one later too. It was pretty good. Oh, we touched on
pretty good.
Pretty good.
I was granted it was the first. I think it was the first thing that came out of Celebration that they got to watch whatever. But I was
Willow.
Crazily surprised. But I think even Andor was before Willow.
Yeah, it was. They had dropped it when they dropped it.
What I dropped or whatever, and was pleasantly surprised how engaged I was in that trailer and wanting to see that show. So much intensity and drama behind what the Empire is doing. Amon Mothma trying to figure out where they were, what they were, and to find out, I think it's 2 seasons or 3. It was 2 seasons, 12 episodes each, leading right up to Rogue One. So yeah, another wonderful opportunity that is the streaming service era that we live in, where they can tell their full story like that. It's going to be.
Ron,
I think it's really good.
To the producer, and she was making it seem like we can keep making this show on and on and on. So I don't think they really have an endpoint for that one yet, but it's going to lead up to how you see Cassie, but they can totally drag it out if they wanted to.
It doesn't seem like it's even all about Andor. It's just about the rebellion.
The rebellion,
so they definitely have a big story to tell. I'll give them that. If it's 24 episodes, more than just matching up Mandalorian just as fast.
I would love if there was some episodes there just dedicated to Jin and what's his name.
Because it seems like even in the trailer, Andor isn't seen a lot. There's Mon Mothma, there's that mystery character in like the blue jumpsuit. He's shown like 4 times, so I was like, oh, he must be somebody.
Yeah.
I think,
So I'm pleasantly excited for that, to see what they're going to do there, because that's going to be the first foray into something really truly ancillary. I mean, the Mandalorian, I guess, kind of is, but they tied it in with Anyway, that trailer dropping again, because it was the first thing out of Celebration. Maybe that's what helped it. But boy, howdy, that was a pleasant surprise. Looks so good.
Oh, it did. It definitely a great trailer edit there. So, but that drops August 31st. So that's something close to look forward to. they announced the third season of Mandalorian. I was hoping it would come out in December, and they did announce that, but they pushed it back to February 2023. Third season of Mandalorian. So a lot of work to be done. They are working their brains out right now, so a little delay was fine by me.
They didn't show the trailer, but I found it.
Yeah, I think I haven't seen that one. I think I
Yeah.
saw the Ahsoka one.
Yep,
That volume's paying off in dividends. I think George has to be incredibly happy, just wonderfully surprised that his dream or his vision of creating this universe and then others, contemporaries, others getting to play in his universe is coming to fruition. Though I think he would have loved having the volume at his fingertips, because then he could truly have created whatever he wanted to create. Doesn't seem to be, the only thing that the volume seems to constrain is chase scenes, because how the two adult bad guys didn't catch 10-year-old Leia in like the first 5 steps was like, whoa, how clumsy are they? Now I get running through the woods.
They weren't going after her that hard. Like rewatching it, they were just kind of trying to corner so they can put her in that bag. But yeah, they were kind of just leading her.
They're definitely. I've been saying they're just the bumbling sidekicks, like 100 Dalmatians.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They're not
because
the
ultimately the lead bad guy is the one that sort of traps, catches her, or whatever that they. But yeah, the volume has some issues with chase scenes.
Yeah, and then there was that one guy that was like, "Really, are we really doing this? Like kidnapping kids?"
Yeah, not too shy.
Like his heart wasn't really in it, Like this is wrong. This is like a little girl. What are we doing this for?
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah, that's definitely that part of it.
Yeah, the George did have a little message at Celebration. I forgot what he was saying, but yeah.
Oh, really? There was a George.
He had a video message
there, but a video message. Oh,
yeah,
awesome.
he's like, sorry, I couldn't be there,
okay.
but yeah, he did a
Faster, more intense.
Yeah,
that's what they're doing.
I thought I had missed another appearance of Uncle George, but I guess not.
Yeah, no.
Well, how about I was there in
Celebration 3, and I was like thrilled beyond measure.
I was in the ancillary room, so I had to watch it on TV when the curtains pulled back, and there's John Williams, full orchestra playing music, and it was just like, oh, I wished the one time, I wished I would have made the effort to get into the real stage just to be in the room to have seen that. So I was pleasantly surprised and thrilled for those that got to experience that yet again of him, because that opportunity is few and far between. It was so
when did you see that? When was that? What celebration?
The other celebration 5 or no?
5. Okay, yeah. Because I saw.
Which one was it where he?
At 3, it was hilarious because there were people who had camped out overnight, and the person that I had gone to Celebration with and I just rolled up and managed to get seats in the room. And there were people who had camped out overnight, and they were so annoyed at us because we just walked in like nothing.
It can be done, if you're a lemming, and I don't want to tell everybody my secrets, because then I won't have them available for Celebration. But yeah, if you follow the rules and the lemmings, the lines and all that sort of stuff, then yeah, you have to camp out or whatever. But it's such a massive production. There's ways to sort of make things like that happen.
Ron's box of fake mustache.
Not cutting in line. Definitely not cutting in line. But just there's a way. But that's because I fly solo, so it's so much easier. If you're at a group or even 2 of you, it's
so you're not disguising yourself as a waiter or something and they're sneaking in there.
I remember being in one. This is Celebration somewhere. I was in a theater, and everybody's emptying out and going out to things, and the next thing starts like in another hour. So I just laid back and was like, well, I'm not leaving. Why would I leave? Why would I go out the doors? So I just kind of hung around, and I'm trying to not get seen by anybody. I'm like trying to play like I'm tying my shoe or just not go out the exit doors. I don't want somebody to shoo me out of there. And finally somebody sees me. I'm like, ah, crap. He's like, oh yeah, no, you're fine. Whatever. They'll be coming in. He was like the sound mix guy. He could care less about me being in there. He knew what I was doing or whatever. But he's just like, yeah, no, they'll be opening the doors here soon. I don't think he said you're fine, but he clearly knew what I was going for and what I was doing, and just sort of gave me the hint to just hang out. I wasn't down. If you try to do it to the front row, you're not going to make it. You're going to.
I think they were doing like.
I'm up in the balcony area of whatever stage we were in for that kind of thing. Whatever, just trying to lay low until they open the floodgates, and then I can go get a seat and be in the room for whatever it was I was watching. So yeah, it's,
hiding under the chair.
I think it's kind of a different thing now with like the queues and all that. But back then you could just like totally hang out and just like hang back in the back of the theater or whatever, and you'd be fine for the next one.
Yeah, I'm sure they're clearing things out. So yep, Celebration. Or today's the last day I think for it. So it'd be interesting to see what news comes out. What news comes out of it. Sunday was always a very
Ron,
heavy cosplay
you didn't
day.
see the trailer for Mando? You weren't able to spot that one online?
I have not seeked it out yet. Yeah.
I know they did a Mandalorian panel yesterday. I don't know if they're gonna actually I mean, there wasn't really anything spoilery in the trailer, which I didn't understand why they didn't just release it.
That's so next year. I will see it soon enough.
Yeah.
You know, trust me. I'm not seeing it or not seeing it. It's just they chose not to show it to us like Andor. So fully on them, I'm not watching. No, that's not.
Saving it up. They might be saving it up because they do save up some of the big things for the last day.
Yeah.
An announcement or something.
Yeah, it's possible that we'll be getting
I appreciate
keep their eye out.
that they do this, that they need to make some stuff exclusive for attendees.
Yes.
Because if they release absolutely everything, if they show absolutely every panel or like the Clone Wars a couple of celebrations ago where they cut away when they went to it, I'm fine with that because I didn't pay my ticket.
Yeah, I'm fine with that too.
Yeah,
if they show everything, then
that.
why go? So why put up with the headache and line? So I'm fine for them holding stuff and reserving, letting those in attendance get that sense of uniqueness and specialness that they got to see or witness it and nobody else has yet. We will eventually see it, sure, but I'm all for them doing that.
Strange. Got a really strange scenario here. Now, Ron has not seen the Mando. Admittedly, it wasn't released through official channels yet, and Ron hasn't seen the Mandalorian teaser trailer, but he has seen the Willow trailer about 10 times now.
There is a story.
Yeah, they showed it to us. It was a legit thing. I mean, it excitingly made me want to go see Willow. I'm worried that it's going to be dated and tough to watch.
I have to say, I actually want to see it less now. After Willow.
I started watching it like a couple weeks ago, because they were saying they were making the show. But
I was thrilled for Warwick. I think that's such a fun, such a cool thing for him to get to revisit it and do something.
We watched that movie so many times as a kid. I used to watch that movie over and over again.
Yeah, I was obviously older to where it wasn't because I have a number of.
Well, that's where I knew
not a number,
from.
but I know people that are a little where that was in there. That movie was in their wheelhouse from an age standpoint. That I aged out, so to speak, or whatever. And I'm sorry, I don't know it better or didn't show it to my kids proper to.
Well, I mean, fast forward to when episode 1 came out, I'm like, I didn't know that was Willow. When I found out Lord Davis was, in the the Ewok, he was wicked. I did not. Yeah.
I had to do that for somebody. They're like, "Oh, I know Willow." And so I had to give them the tie-in to, oh, well, Willow was the Ewok. How would they know that? Only Uber fans know that Willow Warwick was the Ewok that Leia befriended. Blah blah. So I go into it. I'm like, "Oh, did you know that your IT guy was like an Uber Star Wars geek?" That's because I'm totally going on and on. I'm spewing stuff or whatever, and I can just see their eyes glazing over and look at me like, "Wait, what did I unleash here?"
When I saw episode 1. When I saw episode 1 the first time and they show Warwick in the stands with the pod race, I'm like, hey, it's Willow.
Get all excited about talking about it.
I don't think I've ever seen the movie. I'm definitely gonna watch it.
It's good.
Yeah,
let's watch it together then, because I definitely have not logged.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it, and I haven't watched it in a very long time.
Yeah,
I was like.
If I did, it was
when that came out.
I don't even think I've done once.
Like that, like never-ending story.
You would have had to rent it. I definitely didn't see it in the theater, and I would have aged out. Didn't rent it at Blockbuster.
Yeah.
So need to do a watch.
If I'm doing my
watch
math
party.
correctly, you probably would have been like adult age by then.
Yeah.
Well, so last couple news things for Celebration. They announced, and there's no information on it whatsoever, but it's starring Jude Law, and it's called Skeleton Crew.
I did hear some things.
2023. That's it. That's all the information.
Yeah.
No, it takes place after Return of the Jedi, and supposedly it has something to do with kids that are Force sensitive. So,
a lot of kids shows, if it is. That'd be the third kids show.
I'm thinking it's Broom Boy show. It might take place in there.
Well, that's way after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, that would be after. I don't know
if it says if it's
that was a surprising
time, or it either said after Mando or it said after Return. I don't remember what they said, but yeah, it was something totally in the sequel trilogy timeline.
Surprising nugget. They need content, and as long as they're not farting out Star Wars. As long as they're creating good Star Wars, as long as they're creating good stories, I'm all for Skeleton Crew being a thing.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
more
I like Jude
information
Law.
for that comes out next year. The next, I guess it's a Lego show, is coming August 5th called Star Wars Summer Vacation for the Lego fans.
Oh
So-
yeah, that's like a special. It's like the holiday one they did in the Terrifying Tales thing. So
Yeah. So now they're all in summer vacation instead. So seems funny.
yeah, I watched that panel yesterday or the day before. Yeah.
And then the last one, which I think probably got the most information, may not have been the biggest announcement, but the most information is the announcement of an animated special, a small anthology of shorts called Tales of the Jedi. And as of right now, it's 6 episodes, and 3 episodes are about Ahsoka, and 3 episodes are about Dooku, all in spans of different ages of their life. And it has been verified that Liam Neeson is returning to voice a young Qui-Gon Jinn. So it's going to
these are all
be
animated stuff, right?
animated shorts. So again, it may only be like 5 or 10 minute things.
I don't
but
like
that
that
would
one.
get the most information. So it's about Ahsoka as a child, and then Ahsoka when she apparently has one lightsaber, and then Ahsoka after she leaves the Order are her 3 episodes. And then Dooku's 3 episodes is him young, him as the master of Qui-Gon Jinn, and then I can't remember where the other one exactly was, if he was somewhere else. But it's going to be interesting to see how they dance around Clone Wars. And that's coming out this fall in
I
2022.
hope those are longer than the Forces of Destiny stuff because those were so hard to watch because they were so quick. Like I wish, I like the longer, at least
like the
10 minutes.
Tarkovsky, they specifically called it shorts. So Simpson shorts are about 3 minutes. Some shorts are 10 minutes. So it's really up in the air. But the fact that Liam Neeson's returning to do a young Qui-Gon Jinn, I was like, heck, man, that alone is enough for me to watch the series.
I'm assuming they already had him in the booth.
I was going to say, he recorded
Obi-Wan.
that at the same time he's recorded some stuff for Obi-Wan, so probably.
Oh, yeah. Because it comes out.
Don't they have his son doing some of his younger voiceover work too for that? I thought they said something about they had him at different ages.
Oh.
So
Yeah,
they brought in Michael Neeson.
You're right.
That's good. Well, I mean, Liam is
His son is I think that's what it was. His son is returning to do young Obi-Wan or young Qui-Gon. Then Liam Neeson is returning to do like a little bit older. So yeah.
Oh, the other thing, Ryan.
The news we have. The major
Ahsoka.
news.
They did a Ahsoka teaser, which they didn't release also. So hopefully that does come out in the next couple weeks. But I did watch it, and it was.
Yeah, I was able to find that too. Again, it's not really official, so I didn't watch Rebels, so again, it really has no attachment to me. But I see a lot of excited people.
Yeah, I found it on Reddit. It looks like it was taken by a Jawa.
Yeah.
Because you can't see all of it. Somebody is really obviously somebody is.
Well, the other half of the footage is extra.
Well, I was going to say they didn't want their phones confiscated either, because but it was quite funny to see that.
Yeah, like when I watched the Mando one, you could tell the person was trying to hide their camera halfway through, and they
between their heads.
Yeah.
It reminds me when the sequels came out, and I hate going to the cinema, so I was getting some SIF copies of the internet, and there was people walking, getting up, and getting into their seats all the time. I was like, for goodness sake, I'm trying to watch a copy illegally here.
You gotta go to the theater, man. Just the environment, it's just fantastic. If you go to a packed house, I love it. I loved going to packed house theaters.
Yeah, agreed.
I was getting around to it. I think with COVID now, it kind of put me a little bit off being in the packed.
Even before, I would go for a showing because I knew it was empty and 3D because nobody saw them. So
I think it's better now. Now you know who's booked to go to them. You can book something. You can see how many seats are taken off. So you roughly know.
I like to sit right smack dab in the center aisle, right in the middle. Like I'm watching TV at home, nobody around me talking. So
I still have a mom and pop theater of sorts that has a large auditorium. They used to have 2. I mean, it was originally that's all it was 2 screens, big auditorium, big halls. They've converted one, but the other with recliners and all that good stuff. But the other one is a traditional movie theater with 400 seats, lots of seats sitting next to each other, old school or whatever. And the atmosphere. I definitely that's my first viewing is in that theater.
We had a mom and pop theater here, and that's when I saw episode 3. It was like the best thing. Like it wasn't like a big giant chain, so everybody's dressed up and you had lightsaber duels on the stage and before the movie it was just amazing.
Yeah, that atmosphere. It's a lost thing here in 2022 for sure. And I've said it many times. My love of seeing the films on the big screen.
Waiting in line, man, till midnight. That was the best with other fans.
Big time.
And stuff,
I don't know how much fun that is as this becomes 2022 and it gets harder.
Your
and harder
anticipation,
to do, yeah, there was a build that definitely gets into.
It was fun, but I was also like my late 20s, early 30s, so it's a lot different now.
Because the ability to have an assigned seat and just show up, there wasn't, because I went to those viewings too that night, and there just wasn't people showed up 10 minutes beforehand, bought their popcorn, and went into their seat. There was anticipation, but it wasn't a
every time I try to do that, the seats I want are always gone, so I always end up having to watch it.
I buy my tickets like 4 or 5 days ahead. And even then, a lot of times they're sold out. Or like a recent movie that I've seen, Doctor Strange, I had to change all sorts of viewing times because the big theaters, all the good seats were sold out. So I had to change my times.
Then you get there and those people still show up late, like during the trailers, like, be quiet.
Just there for the movie. I had a thought about the Liam Neeson coming back or whatever. Those actors, much like Harrison or whatever, they get on up in their age and their career, and they've made all the money they need to make, if you will, so to speak. But the love and admiration, they see Hayden, they see Ewan, they hear stories from them. Oh, it was the best, just everybody, then you start sort of chasing that. So doing voiceover work is easy to do.
He's been wanting to come back.
To get love, to get the love. He could show up at Celebration,
He did Clone Wars, didn't he?
The love. Oh yeah, right. I think the Mortis arc is definitely him.
Yeah, that's him.
A little bit. He recognizes the importance of. I think you'd be a fool if you're an actor. To go, I don't need to do the voiceover work for my character anymore, and let it go, whatever. Why would you let go of that?
Well, I mean, back in those days when he did it, like it was like beneath you to be a film actor and go do a cartoon voiceover. Now everybody wants to do TV and animation, so.
No, they recognize it's important for their kid, or that's something you can then your kids will recognize or know that your voice. Yeah, great time to be a Star Wars fan.
I got. It's going to be a lot to talk about. Still to talk about from Celebration and stuff.
I'm still on Friday's live stream.
Cover that all next time. Yes, I'm sure.
Yeah, where's everybody? Has anybody? I've not been able, life, work, and everything else. I've not been able to stay up on the live stream, so I've got plenty of viewing.
I finished the Lego panel on day 2. Yeah. I fell asleep on Friday night trying to stay up watching it, and I think I got through a couple panels, and I'm like,
I can't think of folks like us to ask. Did anybody watch the audience? Stephen, I'm sure you did, right? The audience with an emperor, the panel with Ian McDermott. That was, with all the questions. It's just,
it's so cringy.
I sort of started, right? They started talking about his early career, and I thought, I ain't got time for this, so I skipped straight to the High Republic bits. I didn't come back for the questions.
So they keep asking Ian. We're like, oh, in this book, when this happens, what do you think the Emperor? Like, he didn't write the movie, man. He just plays the part.
Well, it's one thing for the fans asking questions, and I get that you're excited and you have these weird Uber, and that Star Trek parody on Saturday Night Live is a real thing or whatever. But I'm talking about the host that's with him, asking the inane question, just not really. It's almost like they don't know the character.
I didn't know there was a host. It was just Ian.
Yeah, there was a lady sitting.
Yeah, it was Amy Ratcliffe, which she's the energy for Ian was there, and she's like not very energetic, so that kind of dampened it a little bit.
You knew her name. Who is she? Is she somebody?
I think she writes for Insider, and she also does podcasts. So
okay.
Yeah. Is it worth a watch?
It is because Ian.
Ian's fun.
He's great. Ian's great.
He deals with the
It's just a bit.
Like I said, he was like at 100 energy wise, and she was like at 25.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
that's what it was, Ricky. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, man, the dude's there, willing to talk about his character and all this sort of stuff. Let's go, have some fun.
Oh, if it would have been Ian and someone like a Warwick or even like Ashley, it would have been like way better. But yeah. But he does give some nice tidbits, and if you like Ian, it's a great panel to watch. But yeah. It did come off a little boring. Even the lighting was boring, but like
the set, it was a bit disrespectful.
They were between two ferns, basically.
Yeah, it was for who he was and his stature. I think could have been. He's just a man, just an actor, but still, I think in the realm of celebration type of thing or whatever, it could have been done up.
And he just loves being the emperor,
Yeah, he that role.
He did confirm that there's not going to be an appearance in Kenobi. So.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
Well, they all say that.
Yeah. They've all got to deny it now, haven't they? But so.
Believe it when I don't see it.
He's not going to say he is in it, is he? So let's face it. So that might be a bit of smoke and mirrors, but I can't see why he would need to be in.
He said something like, "Well, the Emperor's presence is felt, but he necessarily isn't there." So he's like, "No." I think he just straight out said no when somebody asked him. He's like, "That's a good question. That shouldn't be
He also
asked."
said the same thing about Rise.
No, for Rise he came out.
Sorry,
for Rise Skywalker,
Not until
he
the
came out.
trailer. I mean, they didn't know
Right.
he was coming till the trailer was released.
That's true.
So I don't expect him. I really.
I mean, I think if they
indifferent
asked
because-
him, he would do the Lego stuff. You know, he just loves being the Emperor.
I hope he is, but I'm not sure why we would really need him in the Obi-Wan stuff. But
It's about Obi-Wan. If he doesn't show up, I'm not too worried.
No.
Yeah, show up? No. Voice or Vader talking to him or something? Yeah, sure, maybe, but there's no way.
They already
no
had
view.
necessary.
He had his voice already.
by this time, he's supposed to have disappeared into obscurity, isn't he?
Yeah.
And off connecting Sith relics and doing his own sort of.
Phantom Menace.
He's not really available on any on speed dial to Vader or anything like that.
Best panel I've seen so far though was the High Republic one.
Yes, I enjoyed that. Watched
was
that.
great.
Yeah.
Glad we kept
Yeah.
up with all those books. It was enjoyable. It was good stuff.
I might actually watch that one.
Kept an eye on that for me because it's all in Pacific time and it's all when I'm at work. So
Yeah, it was like the one or two panels they showed on Friday. So yeah, it was
yeah.
good.
So like Steven, you'd probably be better at keeping up with it than me, ironically enough, because you're 8 hours ahead.
But yeah, it starts literally like 8 o'clock or 8:30 at night, and I just hit
it's
start,
like
and that's why I
noon.
was really annoyed in the first one when it's like it was 35 minutes into it, and they hadn't actually talked about Star Wars more than about 2 minutes. I was like, I'm delaying my bedtime here to to watch this. And you're talking about hiding.
Your precious
hide
bedtime. That happens every day. Star Wars news is celebrations once in a few years. Come on, you can sleep the next day.
I hold my bedtime as very high value to me. I have to say, nothing
Blasphemy.
Yet bed. Okay, well, thanks very much, everybody. We will have lots of celebration stuff to talk about next time. We'll decide when that is. Probably sometime during June, I imagine. We'll come back and have a big celebration about celebration. So, yeah, excellent. Thank you very much, everybody.
Cheers.
Bye.
Stay safe,
Bye.
everyone.
Hey,
May the force be with you.
see you guys next time.
Go switch off. I am the Senate.
Be sure to follow us online. We're at Facebook at PSW Senate. Join our PSW Star Wars Facebook group where we all are in there interacting. You can find us on Twitter at PSW Senate. On Instagram, we're at PSW Senate Podcast. And on TikTok, we're at PSW Senate Podcast. We look forward to hearing from you.
The Force will be with you, always.
And the Positively Star Wars.
No, you know
Well,
what?
I'm out
Something
then.
else.
I was out too. It took me forever. I did not know it for the longest time. I just I don't know why it's been recently committed to memory.
I suggest a deeper cut, the one from the novel.
Is that longer?
Well, it's a
Longer.
book, so I'm out.
326-117-891.
Did they really make it? I did not. That's a great nugget. So in the book, the trash compactor number is different, or just the same thing but longer?
It's different. It's a little bit different.
Well, that would make sense because as the story goes, Hamill made it up. I believe it was his telephone number at the time, or an old telephone number, and not perhaps his telephone number at the time. But I don't know how much of that is embellished storytelling to give something. But I seem to think that's legitimately true. It was an old phone number or something like that. So that would make sense how the book was different. Lucas put a number in there.
8675309. Is that what it was?
No,
Lucas put a number in there.
That's Jenny's number.
Yeah, Lucas put a number in there, in the script or whatever, and nobody cared what the number was. So yeah, it doesn't makes sense back then that the novel didn't quite track with the.
The novel was actually published way before the
way
movie came out too. So.
Yeah, maybe that'd be interesting. Was that the number in the script? But Hamill just whatever number.
Does this novel still have Obi-Wan and Uncle Owen being brothers? Still?
That was the radio.
Yeah. That was Return of the Jedi.
How times have changed.
Oh, interesting. So you're saying the Return of the Jedi book had them as brothers?
Yep.
That was the New Hope book, no?
No, it was the Return of the Jedi book. I remember that clearly.
It was a New Hope radio drama that had them as brothers. Is my recollection of the origin of that. I don't know that I remember it being in that book 6 years later.
Yeah, I don't recall that, but I'll have to listen to the radio drama again. I've only
not that I listened
weird
to
because
it.
all that stuff came out like later. I would think anything post Empire Strikes Back would have like fixed that. I've checked those. I don't have any of the OT novels. I gotta read those. I've never read them. I've read all the prequel ones, but
I have them.
I have them too.
No, I haven't.
Is it in a box, Ron?
I have Splinter of the Mind's Eye.
It's in the library. Yeah, I have that one too.
I have a first edition printing of Splinter of the Mind's Eye.
I think I've told the story. I tried Heir to the Empire, right? Not Lucino. Who's written all the Thrawn stuff, the Thrawn trilogies?
Timothy Zahn.
Zahn. Yeah, Zahn. There was a resurgence, and Zahn. There was this book, and it's like, all right, yeah, let's go. And I tried. I really, honestly tried, and just part of it was a book, so that was my challenge right there. And then early on, there was the Ylaslarmi or something or whatever that you could wear around your neck or whatever, and it could keep the Force away. And it didn't sit well with me because the Force was all around us, surrounds us, binds us, all that stuff that we took away from the movies, and they were discounting that. And it was like, wait, no, this doesn't work.
All of a sudden, there's these creatures that push the Force away. How does that work?
Yeah, it's like, and they're a creature. It was just, it wasn't a lead shielded room or something. It was the Force is all living things, and there's this living thing that says no soup for you. It's like
that was in the Thrawn trilogy. That was in Heir to the Empire.
Yeah, I think that's early on. Yeah, I
have all three of those. I haven't read them.
I might have the name of the creature wrong. I think I do, but yeah, that was kind of.
And then I started reading the. What is it? The New Jedi Order ones? Like, what is the one where they, what's it called? When the Yushan Vong come, and then they're from another galaxy, so then the Force doesn't work on them, and then Chewbacca dies. I'm like, this is weird.
I couldn't finish the first book. I gave up on it.
I read it.
There's the litmus test. Yeah, Brian didn't go for it, but definitely wasn't good.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not a really big fan of anything post Return of the Jedi. There's just nothing there. The villains are weak. The heroes are limited. Everything's a repeat. Like, I picked up some books at a garage sale the other day, and one of them was Tales of the Bounty Hunters, which I always wanted to get, but didn't want to pay $10 for, so I paid a quarter for it this time. But then the other one no, and then the other one is like Luke going after a ship called the Darksaber, which shockingly has planet-destroying technology. So I'm like, everything's repeated over. I mean, there's more Death Stars being built, In the iJedi series, there's dreadnoughts, and they call it a dreadnought, the Darksaber dreadnought, being built that can destroy planets again. But this one is being haunted by a Jedi that stopped the ship. So I'm like, okay, an old haunted Jedi. I'll pick up this book for a quarter. But yeah, really anything, and I, I don't know if this is
having a character named Anakin Solo is like super confusing and weird. Like you can give them other names. Like you don't have to have like repeat names.
Yeah. And, honestly, like, Han, Luke, and Leia, those characters are just okay to me. I like big, powerful Force characters, and where Luke doesn't do that in a lot of the stuff. He goes from moving black holes and moving planets to like just either being beaten because he's so powerful, and then his students take over type of stuff. And it's like,
yeah, I really don't remember him doing anything in that.
A lot more, and I like things with a lot of Jedis. And Sith.
I mean, like the books were fine. I don't get the whole like, oh my gosh, they destroyed it and they deleted everything. Like, yeah, I mean, they were fine for the time because we had nothing else. But I mean,
and do people really think George Lucas would have followed that? Like, just look at his.
He didn't. That's why Clone Wars like changed a lot of stuff.
Just look at his leaked scripts for the sequel that everyone was talking about. It's like, just as a reminder, he's also ignoring the expanded universe. Like he's done it
been since the prequel.
Yeah. Ever since Django and Boba Fett, like he totally changed Boba Fett's backstory, and it's like George Lucas. There's multiple quotes of him just being like, yeah, this is fanfic, and what I do is the only thing that matters."
Well, and it's like Jade and all this other stuff. Yeah.
So.
What new?
Okie dokie, folks. Well, I think we've just done the bonus bit.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Right. So let's get right.